Perfect. Thank you. I'd like to open tonight's meeting of the Winchester Planning Board. Tonight is Tuesday, October 21st. I'm going to go over the agenda, and then we will be moving into public hearing right away. So tonight on our agenda, we have a public hearing for a MBTA overlay district revision that we're bringing to town meeting. Following that, we have public hearing on special permit PB 25-5, application for 972 Main Street. Following that, we have an application, special permit application still in public hearing for 10 Converse Place, aka 33 Mount Vernon, but still 10 for Converse Place. Moved you up here because John's not going to be coming. I figured you didn't want to sit by yourself.
Where's John?
He's away.
We haven't opened it.
Yes, we have right now.
Do we have time for updates and before we open the hearing?
We're still just going over the agenda.
Oh, okay.
We haven't opened the public hearing yet.
Okay.
Then we'll have other business, boards and staff update, approval of minutes. We have 3 sets of minutes. We have some work necessary for town meeting preparation, and then any additional business, and then we'll have adjournment. I was planning on going directly into public hearing. If there's something that...
I just have a question. Just that I'm not fully up to speed, but we're not... I wouldn't be ready to vote on 10 Converse today. I don't think we are. I mean, I don't think way too much to do.
I don't think
So-
we are either.
And the same with the other one, probably.
So we will, when we get to those, when we get to that point in the meeting, if there's no motion made, then I won't consider one. And if there is one made, then we will. And certainly you saying that will be helpful when that time comes.
Okay.
I'm not trying to, like, when that happens, if you're not ready, you'll let us know.
Okay, great.
So with that, I would like a motion to move into public hearing for our discussion on the town meeting MBTA overlay district revision.
So moved.
Second.
Let's do a roll call vote for everything at the table tonight. Carrie?
Aye.
Jack?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, and I'll note for the record that John is out of town today, so he will not be here tonight. With that, we have, this is our public hearing before town meeting where we talk about the articles and then see if there are questions about the article. We have one article for presenting tonight, so I will go with that, and hopefully just to take a couple of minutes to do this. Perfect. So we are bringing Article 4 before town meeting, which is a small revision to MBT 3A, inclusionary housing. It's a small revision, and it's fulfilling a commitment that we made over a year ago. When town meeting passed MBT 3A in spring of 2024, we knew at that time we couldn't match the affordability requirements that were required elsewhere. But we said we'd come back and correct this if we could. The state requires an economic feasibility analysis to require affordable housing in the MOD to prove that it isn't overly burdensome for developers. And the analysis performed at the time allowed us only to require units just shy of what we have in other downtown areas. But we believed that we'd be able to come back, and that's what we're doing tonight. Well, we will be doing it at town meeting. I'm giving you guys a preview of our presentation at town meeting. And this will appear slightly different at town meeting, but in the other areas of downtown, that would be the Main Street Mixed-Use District and the Center Business District, we require, if there are greater than 6 units, that 10% be affordable at the 80% AMI level. And if there are 25 or more units, an additional 5% must be available, affordable to 120% AMI, which we're calling workforce units. What's important there is that if you have fractional units, if you do the math and you end up with a fractional unit, they round down if the fraction is from 0 to 0.49, and they round up if you're from 0.5 to 0.99. However, what we were able to get in the MBT 3A overlay district was shy of that. what we were able to support was that if we had greater than 10 units, that 10% would be affordable at 80% AMI. And if we had greater than 25 units, an additional 5% would have to be affordable at the 120% AMI. But we weren't able to support the rounding up of fractions from 0.5 to 0.99, so all fractions had to round down. Now, why this matters, giving you two quick examples. If we had a development with 9 housing units in the MSMD or the CBD, that would have 9 units, and 10% of 9 units would be 0.9, and that would round up, and a developer would be required to have 1 affordable unit. In the MOD, 10% of 9 units would be 0.9, which would round down, but for that matter, we wouldn't have even done the math because it would have been fewer than 10 units, so there would be no affordable unit. So the same development, in both cases, we'd have 1 fewer affordable unit. For a development of 35 housing units, 10 in the MSMD or the CBD, we would have that 10% of 35 would be 3.5, which would round up to 4 affordable units, and 5% of 35 would be 1.75, which would round up to 2 workforce units. But as you can see, the rounding down in that case means the exact same development would have 3 affordable units and 1 workforce unit if using the overlay district. And this is significant because there are areas where the MOD or MOD overlaps with both the Main Street Mixed Use District and the CBD, specifically in those oval areas, the green being MSMD overlap and the red being the MOD overlap. So in those areas, a developer can come in and choose between the underlying zoning or the MOD zoning. And there's, as it is right now, there would be an incentive for a developer to use the MOD zoning, which requires potentially 1 fewer unit or potentially 2 fewer units if you include the workforce units, as I just gave that example. And in fact, if we go through units of all different sizes, many sizes would be the same, but we lose either a workforce unit, an affordable unit, or a combination of it, depending on the size of the development. And so you could really imagine a developer choosing which way they wanted to go based on how many affordable units they have. We'd really rather have it be the same in everywhere that we go. A little about the timeline. As I said, we noted the shortcoming at spring town meeting, and we requested funding at fall town meeting to get a new EFA, economic feasibility analysis, performed. And that we were able to get the funding at fall town meeting, get it done at spring town meeting, under budget, I would add. And we just got the results for that just before spring town meeting of 2025. So we brought those results to spring town meeting, but we weren't ready to bring a bylaw change. Since then, we've hosted 2 public hearings, both in summer and fall, tonight being the fall town here. This is my town meeting presentation, so 2 public hearings for this. This is the second of 2. We submitted the warrant article and the motion language for fall 25 town meeting. And we presented before the Affordable Housing Trust, the Housing Partnership Board, and Select Board, all of whom have voted favorable action on this small change. So this is going to be impossible to see in this small screen, but I will just point out that there are really only, as I mentioned, 2 very small changes. One is that we're changing the number, the starting value from 10 to 6, which is located, well, it's just about impossible. Is there a way to zoom in on this?
Bottom right. Plus.
I know, oh, there, yeah.
Down a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm not.
There you go.
That's better. That's better. So there are really only two small changes. That instead of starting at 10, it'll start at 6. And then, as I mentioned also, that if the number of affordable units contains a decimal, we've added the language between 0.1 and 0.49, the number shall be rounded down. And if the number of affordable units calculated contains a decimal between 0.5 and 0.99, the number of units shall be rounded up. So we've actually run this by the EOHLC and the Attorney General's office, and both have pre-approved these changes, meaning that if town meeting supports this, we'll remain in continuous compliance with the MBT 3A Act, and we just need town meeting's approval. And that is sort of in a nutshell what I plan to present at town meeting. Certainly have any discussion among the board if we want to before we open up for questions from the public.
I'm good.
So this being a public hearing, we have an opportunity if anybody from the public wants to speak about this. There'll be opportunities to speak about the other things on our agenda later on. But if you have a question or comment about our proposed bylaw change at town meeting, raise your hand and I'll recognize you. Seeing none, thank you for coming to that portion of our public hearing on the overlay. And I hope if you're town meeting members, you'll consider supporting this small change to bring us into equality between the 3 different districts so they all have the same inclusionary housing. So with that, I'd like a motion to, I guess we need a motion to close this public hearing and a motion to open.
Do we have to do that for each one?
I don't.
We didn't do it
Public hearing has
last
3
week.
agenda items.
It's got 3 agenda items, so I guess we don't really need
Do
to.
you need a motion to approve the presentation material, or no?
We're going to do that later on in town meeting prep.
Okay.
So hopefully
we'll
you will do that.
Slide into the next subject.
Yeah.
On we go.
So let me get back to. I'm really not good with my left hand. I want to get back to the. Is this the packet? Just the agenda. There. Thanks. So with that, we are going to go to the next item in the public hearing, which is for special permit PB-25-5. This is for 972 Main Street. The way I thought we might go about this tonight is actually start with a discussion among the table. We asked the applicant to address several issues. We got some responses from them and responses from the town engineer, so we could see if those addressed those. If we have more questions, we can invite them up to the table. We'll also have an opportunity to invite members of the public to the table if they have any comments that they'd like to make. And then we'll see if we are ready or not to move to accept a motion to do something, and that will be determined by how the discussion goes. So in the packet we asked the applicants to address 3 things before they came back. One was to address the engineer's letter that we received and we discussed at our last meeting on October 7th. One was to discuss snow removal and how that would be done, and one was to get samples of material samples for the material. So I would open it up to the board if they have any questions about those, if they have anything that they wanted to know. If additionally, we can then invite the applicants up if there's anything that people wanted from that further. We do have some of the materials. I don't know if everybody's had a chance to stop by the town planner's office where you had the sample window and sample frames and sample, but we did and we do. Thank you.
Is it black exterior or? Okay.
So open up to the board if anybody has anything they want to address on those 3 things we had, any discussion they want, or if you want to invite the applicants up to address anything that we have, and I'm happy to go anyway.
You know, I'm just looking at my notes. It may be a good idea to go down the design criteria that we approved in a more formal way, or in any way, so that we can just, make sure that has been, all those have been addressed. Just based on some of my conversations, I did have some comments about, I guess, the appearance of the building.
Okay.
I mean, the massing scale is fine. But again, it's not a building that I want to use as kind of as a model. It's the first one, going forward. I think ultimately it would be nice to, well, as I said, the massing and scale is fine. I think it's been a struggle getting some more of the contextual details, and it would be nice for a different place. It's a good building, but for this place, I think we need a different architect going forward. One of the, just based on my conversations, one of the issues, other than basically get rid of the big vertical gray stripe under the gables, get rid of the wood color. The railings look kind of cheap. Maybe use a hardy board version of some wood balusters. It's almost like kind of McMain Street, McMansion kind of thing, a little bit, or post that. Those are my main, I guess, aggregation of thoughts and points on this, I guess.
Okay. Thank you. Any thoughts or discussion from other members of the board?
I don't know if it's the appropriate time to bring this up, but we received an email this afternoon from resident Melissa Bauer, and I found her point well taken. She's concerned about the traffic in and out of Glenwood, in that the street is one car wide, and it's particularly bad in the winter. Now, I don't know that this is fair to put this on the applicant. I think it may be more of a town problem, that the town needs to widen that, but again, I don't know who owns what property, whether would it involve some taking in order to do that, but I think it's something that it may fall outside of our area of responsibility, but I think it's something that certainly concerns the residents, and she's not the first one to raise it, but she does a very eloquent job of explaining the problem of getting in and out of that street, and her concern is with additional 18 or so vehicles, as well as delivery vehicles coming and going. It's just going to make life more difficult for the residents, particularly around rush hour and taking kids to school and that sort of thing. So I think we need to be cognizant of that. Again, I don't know whether it's fair to expect the applicant to do anything about that, or if we should do something on their behalf. It's just kind of an open question for me.
When you say do something on their behalf,
Maybe get the town to do something, like widen the street there.
I'll just note something that we did look into that.
Okay.
DPW, engineering, and planning department looked into it. The biggest problem is the utilities. I think from a town's perspective, we would like to widen it too. The utilities make the widening of that street extremely challenging.
Do you mean because there's a pole there? What do you mean utilities?
This pole, it'd have to be the relocation of a fire hydrant. These aren't impossible things, of course, right? But in looking at it and what is underneath the street, it is certainly challenging to widen the street.
Do you envision any short-term fix that might alleviate the problem, or is it just it needs a major fix?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think there are any shortcuts for this. It would have to be an all or nothing.
I think Ms. Bauer really makes a good point, and I'd somehow like to honor her concerns, at least note them.
no, I mean, they are noted.
She's not, as I say, she's not the first one to mention this.
Is there anything about the site design that would prohibit us from widening? So you're suggesting that the widening of the street would be either expensive or take a long time? I'm assuming it's coordinating, the water department, the utilities department, moving a pole, tearing up a sidewalk, all of that. Is there anything about the site design that would need to be adjusted to make it possible to work towards that goal in a couple of years?
So you're asking if a few years down the road, we have the opportunity
Like, let's say we did
to
it
fix
today and the building and site are designed as is. Would we end up saying, if the building were 3 feet over, we could do it? If the setback was different, we could.
No, I don't believe that
there's enough
the
sidewalk.
restrictions within the site, I don't believe, would change.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, this would be just the will of the town pursuing coordination with the utilities and okay.
Well, and presumably would presumably be a capital project, I would imagine,
Yeah,
unless it's under roads and
Who bears the
sidewalks.
cost? The town bears the cost.
It is town property.
It's reasonable to expect the town to pay for that.
I agree.
I mean, there's, ongoing low-tier interest in burying all the lines. That would handle the pole. But there's no,
I just note, the first time I ever drove past that street, I thought it was a driveway, because it has a little hump there.
yeah. Well, if they try to change the grade, they're going to end up before the planning board. And
Yes, of course. That's all I had at the moment.
Okay. Carrie, do you have any?
I'm not sure how to organize comments, so should we stay on parking and traffic flow?
That's fine by me.
I read it, I think we got it kind of late, Tom's comments about the parking spaces. Can you help me get my head around that? It sounds like that 5-foot setback that we were hoping would be green space is going to have to remain a flexible corridor because they all have to be ADA adaptable, is that right? Am I reading that right?
That's what he's saying.
And that's a state law and that's a determination that gets made, or that just has to be left in purple? Like, that can't be a green screen because it has to be parkable.
Well, I guess my interpretation, and I'll ask Taylor in a second, is we require actually a green screen there. Like, that's part
But I'm saying, how like resolvable is this conflict?
So, in my mind, but others may disagree, that's a requirement. And if the state comes back and says not only you need to have a certain amount of space on either side of those vehicles, then that's a discussion we need to take up again, whether we're willing to waive that requirement, because that's a requirement that's not being asked to be waived at the moment. So right now, that green screen has to be there, or else it needs a waiver for that. But Taylor, I don't know if that's what you're thinking on that memo, specifically that issue from Tom was.
Yeah, that is correct. It would require a new special permit or a new waiver in special permit. So what is specifically being proposed today is a plan with that green screen or with that vegetation screening. However, the state may come back and say that's not acceptable, you cannot have that, that has to be hardscaped. If that's the case, the applicant would have to come back to request that waiver.
Okay.
Are you sure? Okay? You look confused.
Now I'm thinking about, is that true for all like, is there room in the tandem parking spaces for all cars to be accessible, or it just has to be the ones that are parked in the lot?
Good question. The ones that are inside wouldn't open up a new waivers to special permit. They may need to redesign some stuff.
Well, they reduce the number of parking spaces that they can offer. If they have to widen all of the spaces, then they may go below.
Sure, that's possible. They do have excess parking spaces, but yeah, there are a number of ways where they may end up having to come back. But the goal, or what is being asked, is to assume that what they have proposed will pass state accessibility standards, and if it doesn't, they'll come back.
Can you pull up, actually, I'll let you do it because you're probably way better. I think it's one of their first slide that has, so that people can see what we're talking about. So it's that accessible aisle on the left side of the parallel parked cars. That, per our zoning, that has to be a green screen. If we're to believe the letter that we received today, that may have to be an accessible aisle, or may need a waiver from the state for that to be an accessible aisle. So those are in conflict at the moment, I think is my interpretation.
So they're looking to do a sidewalk between the fence and the cars? Is that what they're asking? Or is that what where's the accessible aisle?
On the,
Property
Yes.
border with the adjacent
yes,
housing. The top.
Right, so between those 4 parked cars and the fence?
yes,
Yeah.
correct.
They're saying it would be nice to have a sidewalk there so that people can be safe, or what's the,
So it was in the memo that we
Right.
received from Tom Kennedy, Building and
Okay.
Commissioner. And it should be in the packet, but I'm just.
Yeah, it's here. It's page, hang on.
I mean, it seems like it would be nice to have a sidewalk
It's
there.
29.
All too often, the sidewalks are in front of the cars.
But it's a design guideline criteria that we have green,
Right.
a green buffer
Right.
around the parking lots. So this
But,
is,
I mean, we
you know,
may
it's a tight spot.
think about that, yeah.
I mean, my preference would be to have the green screen there and see if that actually follows through as a requirement that be accessible aisle, or if that's a good idea, a suggestion. If it's a requirement, we need to,
I think it's odd that we require that the 4 spaces that are like arguably the highest risk spaces for like getting hit by a car are required to be accessible. It seems like a very strange.
Oh, I see.
Like, the ones that are inside seem safer, but.
it seems like an odd requirement as well. But, I mean, it's sort of out of our wheelhouse because that's,
Yeah,
I mean.
I don't want to sort of like, I just want to either condition it correct, I want to try to save everyone trouble going forward.
Yeah.
If we end up in conflict, what's our plan for resolving it?
Well, that begs the question, you were talking before we started, that we could theoretically approve the project with our conditions and then leave it to the applicant to work with the building commissioner to deal with these issues.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of apart from our responsibilities.
Except that if we require the green screen and say it's got to be there.
Yeah.
And they go and they cannot, and they're told that they actually have to have an accessible aisle there, they would have to come back to us to get some sort of waiver from us.
I see.
And we would have to decide whether we're okay with waiving that. I mean, that we may or may not be okay with that. I'm not going to speak for
Okay.
what we would or would not do.
Okay. Anything else on? And then remind us, there will be no parking allowed from the corner to the entrance on the street? Or we're prohibiting parking from the corner to the entrance of the parking lot to help keep that as open as possible?
Yeah, for the sake of egress to the Glenwood.
I'm just saying out loud every option we have for making that any easier. I drove down it today. That is a tight street.
I mean, that will be requirement, that will, parking or no parking there will be requirement set forward by the select board since they're commissioner of the streets. But I think that they would agree that there shouldn't be parking along there. I want to make sure we stay in our lane, that we can't actually
Yeah.
say there will be no parking there.
Right.
But there shouldn't be, and I don't think they would want to add it.
Right. We've done everything I think we can to maximize the concern about the visibility. I mean, we have the commercial space, we have the windows, we have no vegetation on that corner.
So,
I just had one quick thing, it'll take 2 seconds.
Absolutely.
Just to get it off my
Yeah,
my
absolutely.
to-do
This
thing.
is what we want to do tonight.
Kayla, can you bring up an email that we got on 10/9 that it shows a picture of the Kowloon in Saugus?
Yeah. Yes.
that's 10:13.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, so I just wanted to, one of the things I noted is that it's maybe a good building for Saugus, but this is a very trendy style, and it's not a style that we really want to try to emulate here for Winchester. I don't really see us as our brand, being at the cutting edge of the current trends, and I'm not even sure that this is something that it's the same thing with the different colors and the it's just a look that is not really doesn't really fit in here. And so I just very briefly wanted to bring that to the board's attention. As kind of the style that we're starting to see, in some of the designs that we get.
I don't agree. I see the similarities, but I don't think it's, I mean, we've got different shapes, and this is all vertical.
Okay, yeah.
We've got some,
I mean, yeah, ours, certainly the massing of ours is not this.
right,
Yeah,
this is not pretty.
right.
That's also 6 stories tall.
Yeah, that's also much
Discussion
better.
for later tonight,
Yeah.
but 6 stories tall, and this is only 3 stories tall.
Doesn't have the balconies that are set in. I mean,
Yeah,
there's effort
exactly.
here.
It's got the dormers.
Feedback.
But your point, I take your point still.
Yes.
You had specific asks. Can you go over what you listed for?
Oh, I just thought we could get rid of the big vertical gray stripe under the gables, get rid of the wood color, and the railings look kind of cheap the way they are.
The gray stripe under the gables. Do you mean the 3? Where's our?
I don't see gray stripe under the gables.
I'm not sure what you mean either. You mean the
Oh,
Sorry. Working on the fly.
that's fine.
No, thank you for being our,
I didn't want this to be a big. but-
no, this is important. We want to not,
I think page 21 is, yeah. there you
Oh,
go.
maybe it's a blue stripe, whatever it is.
Okay. Oh, I see.
It's kind of the same, similar.
Under the gables?
Yeah.
Wait, so we have 3 colors here, and then there's a 4th in the actual design, right? There's the, and I'm assuming the material is the same across all of the panels. Could we pass that around? I would be curious, just for our own, just my own education,
Oh, I guess it looks gray here.
I think we would want
Yeah,
someone at the table beside us, but
Yeah, I mean,
I'm curious about how the materials are
So this would
chosen. What's
be-
the benefit of this? What's the,
So this is pretty much roughly the order that they're going to be in the front, as you go right to left.
and these are the only 3, no. Where's the brown?
In the middle, over the front door,
Okay, so where does this, I see white, gray.
right there.
I mean.
Oh, I see on the
yeah,
picture, but what's this one?
I don't know.
would you like to,
That's the middle one.
I guess it's kind of a tough call
This
given
is
the
where we
overall
find out Graham
design.
gets his color blindness from me. This is awkward.
would you like
Okay,
to
so this
invite
is
the
the-
applicants up
okay.
to talk about this?
Oh, I see, okay. A fun visual destruction.
I-
It
Anyway.
looks more wood toned.
It does,
It does
yeah,
here. Here it
yeah.
looks gray.
This looks like aged wood, aged cedar.
Right. I know from a home project that we did over the summer that cedar's basically impossible to find right now. It's not.
Yeah.
The forest fires are just
Yep.
setting us back a bit.
And if you want it, you pay big bucks for it.
But it's not quite, I think the trees are too young because they're trying to repopulate after the forest fires, so they're not very, you're doing home projects.
Oh, yeah,
Handyman friend over here.
we're almost done.
cedar was expensive 20 years ago
Yeah.
when we did our development.
abundant, yeah.
So it's not a, so do you want to ask questions of the,
Does anyone else have design stuff there? But maybe we should just amass all those comments and then I
Yeah, why don't
would
we
be
just get
curious
through all
for
of
a
our-
brief
all of our general
overview of
comments?
okay.
how and why.
So we're still on design.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just a little out of my depths, but these are some of the thoughts, and conversations that I've had, and I think that they do make some degree of sense when taken in the overall context of what we're getting.
Okay. So for me, I like the design for where it is. I don't think I would like that design if it were at 10 Converse Place. I don't think I'd like the design if it were further down towards Winchester Center. It is really on, it's a block from the edge of town. It is very similar to what we might expect in that area. We're not expecting brick there. At least I'm not.
No, actually, the hardy board's nice. The hardy board is very authentic looking. It looks like real clapboard. And I think that's a really good material, I think, and it lends itself to really contextual designs because it looks exactly like, anything that's ever been built,
So I'm
looking
where
at
it is.
I'm looking at the street view of the immediate neighborhood, and it's a real mishmash of stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, it's currently.
You got bricks right across the street. You've got
Over in a group of trucks.
clapboards next door. You've got I don't know.
We do have historic homes across the street.
Yeah.
Neighborhood is historic, but it's not.
It's not historically significant.
They're not businesses. They're not sort of.
No. But as I say, you've got a real mishmash of stuff. Then you've got the Russell Mansion, which is set way back, which is truly historic.
Do you want to pull up the street view, or is that not something?
No. I just want to see for myself.
Yeah.
Just unless you want to see it.
No, I know. I've driven by many times,
Too.
as we all have. So, do you have additional design questions you want to ask?
I don't at this point.
Okay. Does anybody else have additional design questions?
The only other, I don't know if this falls into design, I have mentioned it to a couple of you, but the use of the sidewalk and the way that we're interacting with the streetscape. Jack and I spent a decent amount of time looking at the plans and trying to figure out whether or not the design was optimized in terms of, are we using the MSMD zoning to meet sort of letter in the spirit, which is sort of like, will we have nodes along the corridor where people could congregate, where people can pass, comfortably in different, sort of trying, like, can you get a stroller or a chair or something like that? And the more we looked at it, the more we realized the site is just tight. And if you did something like add a bench, which might be nice, a way to extend the sidewalk space, it's possible that bench would be looking into someone's bedroom, which would be pretty awkward. So I understand the need for the green space there, but we are setting a precedent where that sidewalk that's meant to be 12 feet is essentially, I'm going to get the numbers wrong, but maybe like an 8-foot sidewalk and then a 4-foot setback.
I think it was
12.
10 and 2.
Yeah, so 10 and 2, so it's not dramatic, but the next property, would then be like, well, to match that one, and we sort of gradually lose that interactive space. So for me,
Yeah.
in terms of site design, that's something that I want us to keep our eye on. Even if it were, kind of a notched in paved area with a bench so that you could sort of pull over and let the bike gangs of Winchester zip by on their scooters.
I will point out that, as mentioned in Taylor's staff report, that they're only requesting one waiver for this whole project, which is to go from 66% primary street activation to 41%. And I'll note that the secondary street activation, they actually exceed because it's supposed to be 33 and it's actually 53 because of the way it wraps around the side.
Right.
So I just think it's important to realize what they're asking.
Yeah, no, this is something is like the planning board keeping our eye on projects moving
Yes.
forward down the corridor. The next one will be a 10-foot sidewalk because that's what we've allowed.
It may. It may, or we may say no. It's not.
Yeah.
There's some precedent, but there's also some, each project is a unique project and a unique location. This is, an adjacent property may want a 10-foot sidewalk.
Right, and that might
Across
be
the street might be very different. Across.
And the adjacent property is Creative Corner, they want a 16-foot sidewalk and a play structure. You have no idea.
And chalk.
I hope so. Bubbles.
So I would like to ask, well, I want to go on to the engineering that I think was our main ask, was the engineering assessment that was given to them. And I'm actually going to punt this over to you, Taylor, in a second, but we received a response. Clearly, they met with the engineers, and you met with the applicants, and they gave us a response. I actually was quite pleased with the response. It felt like the answer to everything was yes. But if you could give, in a nutshell, the responses and how you think they addressed the issues that were raised by the town engineer.
So the town engineer wrote a memo on September 7th to the board and to the applicant with 17 items. Might as well bring it up. 17 items of that they had comments on, that the department had comments on, that they wanted to see either resolved or notes to prove that they will work with the town to have it resolved as a condition. The town engineer and the building commissioner, as stated in his memo today, still have questions surrounding parking circulation, particularly regarding the accessible spots and what can and cannot work there. We have questions around that too, because it does have to do with what we hear back from the state based off of their plan. A lot of the comments in here have been addressed by either providing notes on the updated plans or by agreeing that they can be conditioned.
Okay. So that was my assessment of this response as well. Does anybody have any questions of Taylor as far as that? Because that was, again, one of the 3 things we requested specifically were materials, addressing the engineer's report, and then snow. Was that also addressed in?
Snow will be required to be removed if there's no space for it.
Right, I still do not want to live there in a storm, but that's good.
So I was pleased that all of those items were addressed and either addressed in a way that the engineer was pleased or in a way that would continue to work on that. So presumably, as you mentioned, if we approve, it would be conditional upon making sure that all of that is done to mutual satisfaction, I presume, something along that lines. Is that
Correct.
okay? So we did get addressed to the 3 things that we specifically asked of them. So the question is, before I open up to public comment, does anybody have any questions that they want to address to the applicants, or should I just move into public comment?
Fine.
It's up.
All the comments sounds good to me.
Okay. So I'd like to open up public comment, specifically on this project. If you're here for a different project, I'll ask that you wait until that project comes. I'll ask that when you come, raise your hand, I recognize you, and you come to the table, state your name and address for the record, so that we...
Sign-in sheet.
Oh, a sign-in sheet, and we'll try to get sign-in sheet, which is helpful for our minutes. And I'm going to allow 3 minutes per public comment. I will let you know when you're done, and I'll try not to cut you off, but we do have a lot on the agenda tonight. Come on up. Even if I know who you are, Maureen, I'm going to ask that you state your name and address for the record. And please use a microphone so the people at home can hear you as well.
Hi, Maureen Meister, 3 Meadowcroft Road. Let's see, there were a bunch of different things. This is kind of hard when you sit in the audience and you sometimes are hearing things said. To address Mr. Lemenager's comment, I served, of course, for 21 years on the planning board, and we absolutely asked for work done at the applicant's expense on the public ways. So you may do that. It's not the town's obligation, and I was certainly here when we did that. So just be advised, you really all need to understand what you can do. You can do that. So please, I'm glad to hear you speaking so much of this. I don't know this woman, no idea that this was coming in. I also believe, to address the comment from the chair, the point of the rezoning that you did is to improve the look along the whole Main Street. It's not just what's there now, but it's actually to lift it. And I don't live in that neighborhood. I live at 3 Meadowcroft, but I would like for, we represent the town when we're sitting in an elected seat, and I felt very strongly about that during my 21 years, that I'm trying to make it better, not just bring it down to a level of what's frankly the spec building that we're seeing around the community and going into Lexington and kind of cringe over. And I thought it was interesting then to segue into this when I see no less than the art critic from the Boston Globe, who spent his whole career on design and aesthetics, commenting on some similarities between what we're seeing here. It is a style. No, it doesn't have gables on the one at Kowloon, but this is the style that seems to be appearing on the scene right now. And it's not something that I think any more than the McMansions of yore with the multiple gables and the little Palladian windows. It's not, I mean, we know what that was. And then there was that deal that came along with the little tiny tiles of stone that ran up vertically in the middle of a house, you know. And then we see this very commonly in commercial, sort of inexpensive, I don't know, buildings that in Saugus, stuff like that. So I do think that it was a real surprise to me. First that appeared in the the Kowloon thing appeared in the business section, and then lo and behold, the art critic weighs in and says, well, why do we want this? It's a nowhere, anywhere kind of a trend of the day when we would like to see buildings that really represent their place. Nick uses the word contextual, but we say, what's going on here that was good? And Jack appropriately mentioned that this was actually a really early corridor, and there are some beautiful 19th century buildings that survive on that corridor. Can we do something that really reflects that? Now, given where we are today, we still, for this board, again, you know, I've been on the board, we use the opportunity to use either send it back to the design review committee. You've now got the materials. This board is a lay board. I'm respectful of that, but you should have, I guess, a little humility here and say, we really don't know how this will turn out. Let's give it to our design review committee where we have professionals sitting there and know the materials and can read them and not just get a corner of that window, but really imagine, visualize what that's going to look like and what else can be done so that you can really get something better. So we've got design review committee, and you also have the opportunity under state law to work with 53G. When I was on the planning
Maureen,
board...
do you need a few more moments?
About just two, I'm wrapping up.
I'll give you 2 minutes.
When I was on the planning board, we, as three of us at one period, all had graduate degrees in various design fields. Even then, again, I'll use the word, and I say this respectfully, but we had a lot of humility about what we couldn't do in the amount of time we had and what our experience was. And so we sent it out to an expert outside of the planning board to come in and come back and give us some recommendations. And that really did improve the projects. If I had more time, I could give you examples. But it just feels like this is also at the applicant's expense. This is big enough that you should be feeling comfortable going out with 53G. The opportunity under state law to hire an expert to come back and give you some recommendations on how that might be improved. But if you don't want to do that, within the first Wednesday of every month, the design review board does meet and at least let them look at the materials and advise you on how, even with this existing building, you might improve what the town of Winchester and our neighbors who live in the northern end of Main Street, what I think we can do for them. Our obligation is to serve the community, and I think we can do that even with where we are right now. Give it a couple more weeks, wait till that first Wednesday, and let the design review committee look at it again with the material samples. Thank you.
I think one of the things that I heard was that it's really not that important to look around you and see what's already there, because maybe there are a bunch of bad buildings there. And so what we really need to be doing is not racing to the bottom, but kind of aspiring to what could be, you know, in terms of designs that are contextual, that kind of celebrate, you know, what we are.
Thank you very much. Are there additional questions? Come on up. Come on up.
Can I
So
start?
let me just stop this. Again, state your name and address.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you 3 minutes. But if you need more, you'll let me know.
My English is not that good, but my name is Chris Hong. I live in 19A Greenwood Ave. So I lived there since 2013 or 14, so it's been many years. So before start, I want to understand how many of you live in dead end street, narrow, very narrow street, and there is a main street, and there is electric poles on the corner. Have you ever experienced that?
Yeah.
No.
No. Oh, if you don't mind, can pull up the Google map to the street view. So.
If you are able to do that, I would welcome that.
Yeah. So I've been living there, see many old neighbors move out and many new families moving in. So it's changed a lot. I like it. It's pretty good. And many young families, they spend a lot of money and buy the house or buy the, apartment over there. So. Okay, so it is. I have two children. I raise my children over there. So, and previous years it's not bad because we have much fewer people living in there. So we get out, get in. I have some trouble, but it's okay. So, but recently we have more families coming in, and the Glenwood, if you see, is like So if you see, so. You cannot see here, it's a downhill, right? You see that there's a turn over there. So, and oh, sorry about that. So, there is a two very big building over here, a townhouse here, and there is two here. Now we have seen families moving in, so there's no place for them to parking, so they have to parking on the street. So they park here, they park here, they park here, and they park here. And there is literally, sedan can pass, literally just barely pass through. So we cannot ask the neighbors to move your cars away, right? So what if some people like firefighters, they have fire trucks, there's no way for them to drive in. So if you see here, this is a very small lot and downhill. You have a electric pole here, and this is the main street. And people parking here, people parking here. So when you get up, when you do left turn, right turn, you cannot see it. So basically, I see many times people have hard stop because to avoid accident. People lose patience, and they just shoot right through on the right side. They're supposed to be the pedestrian and bicycle lane, right? I remember there was many years ago, there was a meeting to, you guys widen the street, widen this part a lot to allow the biking, so which is very good, but now people use that to parking, and people use that to pass through the cars. So, to my opinion, so now they park here, right? So we have children. There's a downhill. You know that kids love to bicycle down. And
do you need a few more moments?
yes, please.
Okay.
So I see cases. It's like this view has been blocked, and you cannot see. It's a turn, right? And you cannot see the cars driving by. So I see so many. I was so worried of my kids driving down, bicycle down, and without clear view, and they will bump into cars. If you imagine when people, 18 units to me is very aggressive. So they will park here. They will park here for sure. So there's no way for the kids to go down to see it. So I don't want to wait the last minute, someone get hurt. Accident happens. Now it's too late. You cannot change anything back to them. So for here, it's a small lot, and people will 14 units, right? 13 units. Who will benefit the most? I don't know. It's a small lot. They build such many units over there. They probably want to make a lot of money, as much money as possible. Okay, so. It's always true. But it's a small corner. So, okay. So think about this one, this unit. Okay, if you will approve this one, right? So someone say, oh, this is exactly the same unit. I want to build a 10 units over here. Are you going to say no? You approve this. And how about why you didn't approve us? So, and I don't know, but for me, it's like, it's a very...
Can I ask you to wrap it up?
Yeah, wrap it up. It's a very tiny street, and people, it will affect people a lot. And think about people who live here, people who are moving in, they don't have enough parking, so they have to buy the house, right? They have to buy it because they want to move to Winchester. So, and they will have no place to parking. So in the winter, if there's snow, where are they going to put their car? So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate
Thank you so much.
Just, yeah, pass that back there. I really want to be as lenient as possible, but we have so much to do tonight. Moving forward, I'm going to try to really cut people off at 3 minutes, and I hate doing that, but I saw there was another hand of somebody who wanted to raise. Pardon? Come on up. Again, I know who you guys all are, but if you state your name and address for the record, just pull over a mic. I really don't want to cut anybody off. If you could try to keep it 3 minutes, I really appreciate it.
Yes, I'm going to be very brief. So, Dorothy Simboli, 17 Bigelow Avenue. I'm also chair of the zoning board. So I have two comments. I'm going to segue off of the previous residents' comments about safety. You guys had discussions about the width of the sidewalk, and I really want you to sort of contemplate, yes, there are going to be other buildings going up along this way. There's going to be children living in these buildings, and they're going to be commuting either to walking to school either at Lynch or at Morocco, depending upon how things happen. So please really consider the width of that sidewalk. The other thing I would like to talk about is design. There's other boards and committees who are looking at sizable projects that are being currently built. And one of the comments that's been made is, especially at an entry point like this coming into Winchester, this represents Winchester. This is a gateway this is one of the gateways to Winchester. So whatever goes here is going to sort of set the stage for whatever else you see coming down Main Street. And I think this is a really good opportunity for you guys to sort of, it's a varied mix of different architectural styles right now. So you guys can reflect, you guys can go back to design review committee and sort of see what do you want to see be representative of Winchester on this gateway coming in. And this building is going to set the stage for that, just like another building that's going up on Washington Street, that's going to be the gateway coming in from that direction. Right now, we have a gateway coming in from Woburn on Cambridge Street. We all know what building that is. Is that what we want to see moving forward? Or do we want to sort of take charge of things now and sort of set the stage? So just a recommendation, and good luck to you all.
And thank you. In 2 minutes, you are the fastest speaker so far. Thank you very much. Any additional public comment? Seeing none, I will close the public comment, and we will go back to the board. One of the things I'd like to point out that was mentioned several times is that it was asked that we send this back to the DRC. This was reviewed by the DRC. And correct me if I'm wrong, it was unanimously approved by the DRC with one suggestion of not, I'm trying to think what their suggestion was.
The replacement of the flowering pear tree to a native species.
Okay. So, respectfully,
I don't
we sent it, respectfully, I'm saying we sent it to the DRC. I don't know how many times they reviewed it, maybe once, maybe twice if they reviewed it the first iteration, but that was a different special permit. To
respectfully vet the comment that was made, what would be the process for getting a 53G architectural review?
Well, you can make that recommendation at any point. You can vote to.
Like, how long does that go? Is it a bidding process? Do we have a person? How much does that delay the project?
We might have a person, it might not be, well, I don't know.
Well, it probably has, standard procurement law. I would have to look into it. You would authorize, I'd recommend you authorize me to look into it, and then I'd come back the next meeting, say, this is what it is, this is what the scope is, this is how long it's going to take. So it's not a quick thing, done in 2 weeks. It's more like
It's
done in a
not
month.
years. It's like
No.
months.
Maybe a month.
We don't know. The holidays.
I don't know how to proceed. I had public comment open. I closed public comment, and I had actually welcomed her before, but she didn't come up at that time. I want to limit just that we're just indefinitely open for public comment.
Can we get one more?
We'd like to hear a comment.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the interest of the public. We had public comment. A public comment period is now closed. This cannot be a continuous public comment meeting. This is a meeting of the planning board. If this board would like to recognize an additional person, I will take a motion in a second, and if that passes, we can welcome that person over.
I move to
I'll
reopen.
move to just hear what they have to say.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Come on
You can
up.
abstain, you are
Come on
you're
up.
outnumbered anyway.
I'm going to,
Sorry, I gave my place to the neighbor who came and spoke. I thought that was more important.
State your name and address
So
for
my
the
name
committee,
is
even though we know
Jamie
you.
Duvall, and I live at 7 Dix Terrace, and I am the chair of the Design Review Committee. So in terms of this building, I was not at the first meeting when it was introduced. And then I was at the second meeting where, yes, we voted unanimously favorable action. And in our notes, one person mentioned a lack of architectural richness, which is what I think everyone's talking about. And then the other thing that got in the motion, I think, was a pear tree or something. And I guess I need to admit that I ran a really bad meeting because we had a huge agenda, so we didn't spend much time on this, and I heard that a lot of the concerns of the Design Review Committee were satisfied with this design. And I personally voted yes because I was exhausted. We had a long agenda, and the truth is we do spend time trying to improve designs, but oftentimes, suggestions, which I was making, some would require a whole redo. And I absolutely understand what Maureen is saying and others, Dorothy, that this is a gateway to the center and that we should be striving to bring things up and not just be okay. And I saw this as an okay building. And one reason why I didn't argue is I think the size is reasonable in terms of, and the form is reasonable. I like the living units. I like the fact that they're going to be more affordable. So to me, just because I would design it differently, I said this is okay with me at the time. That said, if we have time to look at it again, I think we might have some suggestions. Also, I failed to look at the North Main Street regulations, which, again, that takes time, and I'm hoping next meeting we have a small agenda. We can take a look at those, the Main Street design guidelines and regulations. But I just thought I would tell you how the meeting went and how the vote went, and I felt like we had bigger fish to fry at the meeting, and I am personally not appalled, and I think it's the units, et cetera, are good. So maybe with just some changes to this design, everyone can be happier. Small changes. Okay.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate your patience in us
Thank you.
getting you up here. So
That was helpful for me.
public comment is still closed. So any discussion by the board? Any interest in, any questions for the applicants? Any?
I found the point that Maureen made to be surprising to me about the responsibility for widening that street. I don't know if you can look into that or not, but if you look at that screen view that you had up, if you I presume this is private property. This belongs to that lot. I don't know how you'd widen that. Plus, you've got the fire hydrant and the telephone pole.
Well, they would have to move those and make it
I
a
understand
rounded
that,
corner.
but I don't know how that could be widened. I mean, the street probably was not planned. It was probably just put there some 100-some years ago.
That's not an us problem.
I know that, but
We just say we need it done, and then we
but I'm
find out
very
what's
sympathetic
possible. Yeah.
to the residents that have to deal with this, as
Yeah.
the gentleman pointed out. It's. I mean, I wouldn't want to deal with that every day. taking my kids to school, trying to get to work, especially in the snow when it's icy. So, I don't know.
So I will say that we have agreed with the applicant that pretty significant streetscape improvements will be made to this site at the cost of the applicant, not the town.
But they can't widen it.
We think the widening of the street is too difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I mean, even if the town were to undertake eminent domain, I don't know how much space they would gain. Would it be enough for another car width?
Another whole car width?
Yeah, which is what the residents are asking for, I think.
I think they're looking to make a
improvement-
wider opening at the street. I don't think they're looking to make
The
the
biggest
street.
improvement is a 30-foot sight line from the edge here.
Mm-hmm.
So and this is by no means diminishing the current issue, I totally understand, but there is a sightline improvement here.
Yes.
From when you're approaching to Main Street, looking left, the sightline will be very much improved. Of course, there are many other issues, but that is one benefit that is being proposed.
That's all I had.
Okay. So are there any questions? Oh, so go ahead. Any questions I was going to say for the applicant? Is there anything that we want to ask them? We can certainly invite them up here. I just don't want to go around to the presentation. We've seen this many times. I don't need to have no disrespect. I don't need to. I think we have everything at our hands unless there's specific questions for them.
I think we probably already have everything.
Yeah. So the question is, for the board, is there more that we need to know?
I think we heard from design review that they want to see it again.
Is there any appetite for maybe continuing it one more session so that we can, a lot of people have come up about the design, and it is kind of a crucial juncture. It is the gateway.
If we had
It's
not
the gateway
taken
in
one
more
more
ways than
public
one.
comment,
And we might as well just take the time to get that right.
I mean, in fairness, and in fairness to the chair of the design review committee, we did ask them, and they did vote unanimously in support. I understand that, and I'm not diminishing this, that the chair of the design review committee may have second thoughts. But I mean, I'm not sure what we're supposed to do if when we get a recommendation from the historical commission, if we then say, well, do you really mean it?
I mean, as someone we've all been at very late meetings with very packed agendas and made life choices that we don't necessarily want to hang on the town for the rest of time. And
Agreed.
I think a little grace to the chair of
Totally. I'm giving that grace.
It's not, no one wants to extend this public hearing.
No.
We're very ready to check something off this perpetual public hearing list. And yet, it may be true that the town would have better results and definitely better, closure,
there an appetite?
resolution, whatever.
It is okay, but, I mean, is there an appetite to get it? I mean, it's been really hard, because it's like you can't just design by committee.
I mean, that is not
I'd
my
have to trust the
wheelhouse, so I
person.
don't know what they will come back with for suggestions. It's possible that they take it, they take a look, they make suggestions that are like, these must be authentic stones that were blessed by Paul Revere, and it's absurd, and we're not going to vote for that. And ultimately, we end up with this design. But if they have some thoughtful suggestions that make us feel like that looks like a Winchester building that we're excited to have at the top of Main Street, it was worth 2 weeks.
Yeah, I would support that.
So,
I know.
I feel like
And
we need to start.
maybe investigate 53G and just see a feasibility, reasonableness and feasibility.
I feel like we need to start taking
Okay, we have to
votes
decide that right
on
now,
what we
though,
want to
because we
do.
can't have them come back and say, well, that now should go, like, that, like.
I mean, maybe we can just agree to look into it and see if it's reasonable.
When was the first hearing on this? Was it in June?
This is the second application. Their first application was in May.
Right. So we
It's our
met with them.
6-month anniversary coming up.
We've met with them 6 times, 7 times? I guess my point is that it seems kind of unfair to the applicant to be asking to jump through yet another hoop that they could have jumped through 2 months ago.
Well, we've been saying design, design, design the whole time.
Pardon me?
We have been saying design is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't been enthusiastic, no, but we could have invoked 53G 2 months ago. And I think it's unfair to invoke it now.
I tend to concur.
So we could say back to design review, but not 53G.
I suppose so, even that, I think.
Shortest route,
I mean,
vetting the, I mean, it's really out of compassion for design review.
I sympathize with what Jamie says. I've been in that boat before,
Yeah.
but I also sympathize with the applicant who's already met with them.
So, as a way out of this conundrum that we're sitting around the table, if somebody at this table is interested in asking design review to reconsider this, they could make a motion to do so, to send it back to them. Somebody could second that, and we could take a vote. And if that does not pass, then we continue down the road that we're going on, which is without sending it back. I don't know if that answers any question other than, is that the avenue we want to go? So,
And I
yeah.
assume they're meeting November 5th?
I don't know when they're meeting. Do you know when you're meeting?
First Wednesday of November.
November 5th.
So the day after our next meeting.
Right.
So if somebody wants to make a motion to request a re-review by the Design Review Committee, they are free to make that.
I guess I'll move that.
Somebody want to second that?
I will second it. I know how
Okay.
this extends it by a month. We would be continuing it to November 18th.
Roll call.
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Nay. So without having 3 votes, that does not pass. So it does not go back to Design Review Committee. So now we still have to decide how we'd like to proceed right now. I'm not sure that, I'm just wanted to do that because I feel like that's the only way we're going to answer that question of
Right.
whether we wanted that. Does the board have other information they want more of before you make a decision or accept a motion to make a decision? We could go through the proposed, which you should all have read, the proposed
Conditions?
conditions.
We went through them last
Yeah.
week, and
Yeah.
I know there was one couple that were changed, but I'm happy with them.
I do want to call out the letter from the tree committee asking for a, curbside consult when it comes time to do the plantings to make sure that we've optimized the site. The other thing they had suggested was moving the trees on the site to wells in the sidewalk so that we could create a tree line as we move down the corridor.
I believe there was a condition, Taylor, help me, with coordinating with the permanent street.
Yeah, I don't think it's outside. I'm just making sure I say it out loud. Yeah.
Okay, because that condition is condition number 9. Applicant shall coordinate with permanent street tree committee to select and install at the applicant's expense no fewer than 2 street trees along the main street. If site conditions prevent tree installation, the applicant shall make a contribution to the town fund dedicated to expanding public tree canopy.
Great, perfect.
And we still have the letter from building commissioner. So we have presumably, help me with which condition would cover that if that, or is that just not a condition? If they have to make a change based on that, then they would have to come back.
That's correct. It is also clarified in number 4, but yeah, that is correct.
So is there a desire to make a motion to approve or deny the special permit? You actually received an email which includes 4 separate votes that we would need to take if we wanted to move forward. I will not be making a motion, so if somebody wants to make a motion.
I would like to move to approve the special permit for 972 Main Street with the conditions set forth in the revised staff report dated October 21st, 2025.
Is there a second for that?
I will second that.
Is there any additional discussion on that? Seeing none, we're going to go by roll call vote for all of these. Nick?
I don't know. Just go.
Is it an abstention?
It's not an abstention. I just am making my mind up.
Okay.
Oh, okay, so would you, is there any
Yes.
discussion? I'm happy to hold on the vote if you want to,
Again, specifically, the special permit is required because it's less of 60% of the commercial storefront, or what's the word I'm missing?
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just clarifying what the
And
vote
we
is for.
did vote to agree that we could have no less than 40%. I mean, that's on record, but,
Yep, that's,
so, I'll start at the other side of the table. Carrie?
aye.
Jack?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. The vote is unanimous. Do you want to make a vote on any of the waivers or any other,
I move to approve the waiver of less primary street activation than is required.
is there a second?
I will second that.
Any discussion on that? I'll start at the other side of the table. All in favor? Carrie?
Aye.
Jack?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. The vote is unanimous. Would you like to?
This might be a good minute to pause and say, if we approve 2 of the votes and we do not approve 2 of the votes, would someone like to walk us through? So the site plan review would be approving the site plan for the site of 972 Main Street. So if that does not get approved, what happens?
You would have to correct the site plan.
Okay. And if the decision does not get approved, we don't go back and revote on everything? The fourth vote, the decision.
That's just authorizing
Decision.
us to
So-
draft up the decision, I believe.
That you wouldn't-
I'm
you
just
wouldn't
talking
vote
this
on-
through.
You wouldn't vote on that if you didn't approve the site plan.
Okay. And the vote to approve for site plan and decision is 4-1, 3-1, 2-1, 2-2,
They're all 3-1.
2.
They're all required to be 3-1.
Okay. Okay, just making sure we've set the table.
Yes.
Oh, I move that we approve the site plan for 972 Main Street.
Is there a second on that?
I will second that. Quick question, so the site plan review would be the only piece of this that we would revisit if there's something, like if they have to come back about the green screen, we would revisit the site plan, just the green screen piece of the site plan review, we don't revisit the rest of it.
My understanding is that actually the requirement of having the green screen
Waiver.
would have to be a waiver.
Okay, so we would have a new issue of a waiver.
We'd have to
for the
approve a
site plan.
waiver.
Okay.
So it would be
procedure.
more than just site plan review, because site plan review is not just, we can make reasonable conditions, but we can't deny based on site plan review.
Right.
So, whereas the waiver actually could be denied, I mean, I can't picture this happening, but if the green screen didn't work, we could actually say, no, the whole project's dead, I believe, because that would be a waiver that we have to approve. I mean, they would have to change things.
If they were coming back.
Yeah, if they came back. If they don't come back, then it doesn't happen. Did someone make a motion for site plan?
Moved and seconded.
Okay,
That's why we're discussing.
okay, okay. Okay, start at this side. Oh,
Aye.
aye. Carrie?
Jumping in the front of the queue, aye.
Jack?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. The vote is 4-0. And lastly, we have a motion, well, if someone wants to make that motion.
I move that we have the planning board chair, town council, and town planner finalize the decision based on the will of the planning board for 972 Main Street.
Is there a second?
I will second.
Thank you. Any discussion on that? Can you, before we vote, can you tell us what the time frame is for between a vote and the write-up of the decision would be made, like per?
Yeah, we had made an agreement with the applicant that we would deliver a decision within the 90 days, within 2 weeks. That, of course, then goes to the town clerk and is appealable.
Okay?
And then if
Period's
some,
20 days.
Imperial, yep, correct.
and then what is the threshold if something about it's not, they can't find the banister, something gets, like, what's the threshold for changes to, like, something about the site has to change? What's the threshold for them coming back?
That's outlined in the conditions.
Okay.
So I believe we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Terry?
I think we should qualify our votes to a small degree, so I will say that I think that this has done its absolute best to meet the requirements of the MSMD, and while it's not necessarily visually what everyone would agree on, I don't think we ever will get there for design. I think it brings a good and appropriate amount of housing to an area of town that we'll have to be thoughtful about developing, but to a site that certainly stood to be improved. I think it's a good execution of the first application for the MSMD, and I think the process was thorough and thoughtful, and I wish the site well, and I am an aye.
An aye.
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 The chair votes aye as well. The vote is unanimous. I'd like to thank the applicants, thank everyone who spoke, and thank the board for this long process that we've been in. And I don't think we need to continue the public hearing, but we do need to continue our public hearing into the next order of business.
I just want to make one last point regarding this street. I think that we owe it to the residents of Glenwood to,
Get this on the capital list.
or do something, I mean, and work with the applicant to figure out how this is going to be improved. I agree with what Taylor said, that it is going to be somewhat improved, but the street is still narrow and it's still dangerous. And that's just, it's not a good situation for the residents.
I think we call Sally Dale back and ask what her plan for burying all the lines was, because that's half the problem.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can we take a 5-minute recess for bathroom breaks and everything, and then we'll return here in 5 minutes. So at it's 8:22. Let's say 8:28. Thank you.
Do they have water cups up here, or is it a trip down?
session. We are going to move on to the next special permit, PB 25-6. This is application by Urban Spaces for 10 Converse Place, also known as 33 Mount Vernon Street. We will use them interchangeably, but note that the application is under 10 Converse Place, so it'll be up to them, if eventually approved, to go through the process of calling it 33 Mount Vernon Street. So we are going to hear from the applicants. We're then, I think probably, seeing how many public comments we have, probably move into public comment pretty quickly afterwards. We will go into public comment. We will accept public comment. We will close public comment, and we will return to discussion and deliberation. So if you guys, we know you by now, state your names and go ahead and tell us. We had a couple specific requests for you at our last meeting. One was a model, and the other was the breakdown and distribution of units, and helping us make a determination of whether you satisfy the requirements of the PUD. So those are the sort of the two specific requests we asked of you. But if you want to tell us what you've done in the 2 weeks since we last saw you.
Yeah, should we introduce ourselves?
Yes. I'm David Tabankin with Hassin Architects.
And Paul Onyebane with Urban Spaces.
Thank you.
If you're good with it, we could perhaps address first the this idea of the height narrative. We circulated a letter, and if it's good, we'll maybe go through it and describe the request at the last meeting was to, in order to approve a special permit for the proposed additional height, the bylaw requires that planning board members find the development would meet a certain standard, encouraging and facilitating the development of new mixed-use developments, especially those incorporating a substantial number of housing units within the CBD. And it is expected that any residential component within a PUD will provide a diversity of housing types, price points, and sizes to accommodate a wide range of ages and economic levels. So we wanted to address that, and so we developed this narrative, which we can kind of describe tonight. Approving the proposed mixed-use development at 33 Mount Vernon would provide the opportunity to add vitality to downtown Winchester in unprecedented ways, including the meticulously designed mixed-use building would replace an existing structure that one community member in public hearing called the ugliest building in all of Winchester.
Might be true.
The streetscape would be enhanced by a new retail storefront along Mount Vernon, as well as plantings and sidewalk street trees that soften the apron of the building. The town path would be integrated into south-facing waterfront retail and an expansive green space that would replace a paved private parking lot. Seating opportunities, subtle lighting, and a potential bicycle sharing program, which was a new idea, would promote community access. And it was noted in public hearing that this would be perhaps the only location in Winchester to provide seating along the waterfront. It would also provide a newly created space within the building to encourage community engagement, another new concept, especially for seniors to remain active, independent, and involved, consistent with the town's age as an asset goals. Of all those things, approval also enables the creation of now 34 units. You asked us to peg the number. 31 markets and 3 affordables, representing a substantial addition to Winchester's housing inventory within the CBD. Most of the units would be accessed from the main elevator lobby, and 4 row house units would have outdoor entrances. Residences would vary in size and price, ranging from 750 square foot 1-beds to 2,300 square foot 3-bedrooms, approximately. Given the building's downtown location, design aesthetic, and varied unit mix, we expect the development to appeal to a broad audience, ranging from first-time homebuyers to empty nesters. And a corollary to that is that those who have raised their families in and around Winchester and are now ready to downsize can age in place in this building within the community, and in doing so would create an availability of single-family homes that they used to live in for the next generation. Moreover, 33 Mount Vernon would create a diversity of housing within Winchester. It's also worth noting that 100% of our proposed residences would be classified as Group 1 under Massachusetts Architectural Access Board, MAAB, and Federal Fair Housing, FFH, design standards. Accordingly, the units would be accessible and adaptable to meet the needs of all age groups and to accommodate special requirements a homeowner may request. In addition, all common areas would meet MAAB and American Disabilities Act ADA requirements. The building development would also enhance the CBD's economic vitality. Given the downtown location, we anticipate that approximately 70 residents or so and their guests would provide a substantial economic boost to local businesses, as well as vibrancy to the streetscape throughout the day and evening as people walk and come and go. In addition, we're forecasting that the development would generate property taxes of approximately $550,000 per year. The development also provide the affordable units, which we calculate representing the difference between market value and affordable value of about a $3 million subsidy. In contrast, even if a by right development was economically viable, these benefits would be reduced by over 50% without the additional height. So that was our take on addressing the narrative question.
Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you.
I appreciate you doing that.
Excellent. So the next component of our presentation is the graphics package, and ultimately, which will culminate in the digital model that we've created. What we could perhaps do is maybe I'll walk through the slides that you're already familiar with, and then David could take it away, walking you through the digital model. The first few slides, we'll roll through them in the interest of time very quickly. We've sort of consolidated 4 slides you've seen before, showing the bird's eye view, greatly reduced, taking 33 feet out of the width of the building to create a much narrower and, importantly, compliant with Conservation Commission sort of regulations building. And the Conservation Commission, we believe, has seen this as very well received. We will be meeting with them again next Tuesday and hopefully bringing that to a vote. So the other images are ones you've seen before. The landscaping plan is a little bit revised and more refined. We could look at it in detail as you like, but we've included some more detail on the plantings that our landscape architect is proposing, recognizing the feedback that you gave last time. The other pages here are really just what we've seen before in terms of the footprints of each floor. And importantly, we've now taken these footprints and addressed your request to fine-tune that into how many units, and again, it's 34, with a mix of singles, 1s, 2s, and 3s. The next images are ones you've seen before, various vantage points throughout the town, and ultimately culminating in a digital model, which starts on the slide with the aerial views. And this is where David could take it away. But importantly, what we've done here is we've started with some aerial views so you can sort of see contextually where the building is situated. And then because it's a digital model, it has the benefit of being able to now walk around it a little bit more graphically. So we have a site map that you'll see, which takes us around town to 17 different vantage points where you can see the building. And ultimately, we're going to show you what the imagery looks like currently, and then it would look like with the building. Importantly, all the landscaping that is available is not actually in our drawings. You could see it in the existing condition, but not the proposed. So it doesn't represent the true fact that you won't really see the building as much, because in many cases it's shrouded by plantings, but we've turned those off in order for you to get a good sense of what the building would be like if there were no trees. And with that, David?
Can I ask a quick question before you proceed? Do you have a model that allows us to move around freely? I saw the presentation and I like it, and I'm looking forward to everybody else seeing it. But do you have some way of us actually with a mouse, turning ourselves and imagining wherever we want.
We have those capabilities, and what we thought we could do, of course, if you want to see more, we can. I don't know if we can see it tonight.
We can.
We can see it tonight. Okay.
I would just clarify that we don't have it such that we can distribute it and have you
Yeah.
individually go in.
But we can do it here.
We have it with us, and Dylan can come up.
Okay, that's.
And of course, whatever you'd like to see, we've tried to anticipate the 17 viewpoints.
And I appreciate that. I just wanted to. I wanted to know if that capability was available.
Yes,
So-
of course, definitely.
So we've started with aerial views, as Paul said, to see this in context. I think the important thing that we realize looking at it this way is that you understand the size of the block, the size of the building footprint relative to the footprint of the library, of Town Hall, of the Lincoln School, and of the other blocks downtown. View from the southeast, again, as Paul mentioned, we're missing all of the trees here along Mystic Valley Parkway, so it's looking more barren, but this is very clear about the height of the building relative to the adjacent PUD parcels. So, this is a technique that we were asked to do in 2022 when the building was last approved, and the idea was with this we can capture any view from above, but it also allows us to get in and look at this from a pedestrian viewpoint. So what the following views are a series of views as if you're walking along Mount Vernon Street in front of Town Hall, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The next series is along Mystic Valley Parkway, and then the third is from in front of the church, along Church Street, and through the Rotary, through the MBTA, down Mount Vernon. So again, starting in Mount Vernon with Town Hall at the left, you really see the height beyond relative to Town Hall, and then relative to the shorter buildings beyond that. You'll see in each of these views we have an existing conditions view from Google Street View on the upper left or right. So we've tried to match those views as closely as possible. This is getting closer to the bridge, and this is getting closer to a view similar to ones we've shown you before, but in a little tighter. Okay. Now we're on Mystic Valley Parkway below the school and across from the library. Again, what's important to note here, you look at the existing conditions photo, full of trees. Of course, in the winter, leaves will be down, you'll see more of the building. So what we're showing in the model is as if those trees are not there, just to really understand the height of the building. Again, one of the early reviews we showed you shows what anticipated four-story development might look like on the TriStar or CBS site adjacent to this, for context.
Wait, what did you say that again? What you said?
Just that in one of the earlier views, we
Oh yeah, we've seen that. Yes, but not here.
Not in.
Okay, I didn't see it. Is why.
Again, the Converse Place, looking towards Town Hall. And then this is in front, at Church Street, in front of the church.
What is the height of the viewer here? Is this like a
Yeah.
5 or 6 foot?
5
6 foot.
foot.
I'm just trying to understand. Like, is it down on the ground looking up, or is it? I mean, it probably doesn't make a big difference.
Eye level height.
Yeah.
So you are seeing basically the 6th floor above the height of the Brown and Stanton building.
Okay.
In this view, Town Hall is sort of around the corner, but as you come around, it starts to reveal itself along Church Street. So you see the 5th and 6th stories stepping back, the tower of Town Hall beyond, with Brown and Stanton in front. Now moving towards the overpass. And this is back to a view similar to one of the ones we had been showing you, pulled a little further back, showing the tower of Town Hall down the street. And then moving closer down the street, right in front of the white block. So those are the views. We also have appendix for reference if you want to see same views as we've shown you previously, flat elevation views, registering the height, section site views, showing those heights relative to other buildings and for that comparison.
Okay. Thank you. Are there questions specifically about what we just saw? Either, we can go either way. We're talking about the assessment of diverse housing, or the views of the model we have, and is there a desire to, at this particular point in time, look at the model itself? Or can we hold off on that? I'm asking what people want.
We'll probably want the model ready for public commentary.
Okay.
I mean, I would just make that as a general
Yeah.
suggestion.
I think that's a good idea.
We can get it
Hey,
fired up.
we're still very vague on the contents. I mean, 750 to 2,300 without knowing the mix of units, it's still.
We could tell you that if you'd like.
Market, like, just, what do we have?
We have a mix that is, let's see. Yeah, I have it. Well, you don't have to pull it up. I'm trying to find it here. Okay. So we are thinking, that right now our drawings show about 20% one beds, about 70% two beds, and about 10% three beds. So 34 units, that's approximately, 8 or 9 one beds, about 22 beds, and about 5 three beds.
How big are the 2 beds?
So the 2 beds range from, could be 1,500 all the way up to 2,000 if they have a study. We're trying to put in 2 bathrooms, 2.5 bathrooms usually, recognizing that people often like a half bath so people don't have to kind of go through a more private bathroom. Same with the one beds. We were going to mostly try to have 1.5 baths, possibly a study. And then we wanted to have some oversized units, 3 beds for people who are downsizing that don't want to go all the way down. They want to sort of have a hybrid between a house and a maybe more conventional condominium.
So how big would those units be?
Those could be as much as 2,400 square feet.
Okay.
And those top 2 floors, what's going into the top 2 floors? Where's that mix?
The 5th floor is a typical mix like all the others. The top floor, because it's so set in, is fewer units. I think we're showing 3 or 4. 3, 4 units, and they're the bigger ones as a result.
2 large ones and one bedroom, but I think we need to lay those out and sort of see how that flexes.
But the goal was, recognizing we're early on in the approval. Well, we're in the design process, late in the approval process, of course. But we wanted to address the concern about how many units, just be a little more tangible that you needed that, and of course, in doing so, we also think we're addressing the diversity, because with a mix of units like we're talking about, we can attract a bunch of different types of clientele, different ages, different stages of life, some with children, some without. So that diversity of housing was something we really zeroed in on over the last week or 2, and that's where we landed.
I presume you're aware that there would be a requirement in the CBD for 5% of the units to be at 120% of the AMI. And while not specifically spelled out, those would be much like the 80% AMI units, that they'd have to be comparable to the other units in the building.
Yes.
So other units, so that the kind of units that could, it's more or less, if you asked EOHLC, I think I got it right, which three would be acceptable for the 80% AMI, I would probably go and say, if you had two more, what would they be? And those should be the 120 AMI, so that they're comparable and that they're not, not that you would do this, but they're not only the one bedroom or a studio, or something, that they are comparable to other units.
Yes, absolutely. And we have a lot of experience with affordable housing selections. In fact, we just went through a process. It was more complicated because we needed to select 20 units within the 6-story building. And we're very, I think, deft at basically making sure, for example, they don't stack or they're not next to each other, that they're a true, fair representation of all the other units in the building. This will be a little easier because, intuitively, right, 3 means maybe 1-1, 1-2, and 1-3, perhaps, or maybe percentage terms. You want to slice the deck with 2 2s and a 3 and no 1s. We'll work collaboratively with the approving authorities and the housing partnership to make sure that we select the units just the right way.
And what I would add to that is, I'm not aware exactly how this works, but I know you're planning on selling the parking separately. I don't know if that's still the plan.
Yes.
I would want to make sure EOHLC was comfortable with how that worked, to make sure I just want to make sure that they're comfortable so that they don't, at the end of the day, say, well, you can't rent it, sell it affordably, but then say the parking is, $1,000, or if you're selling it, $1 million. I don't know.
Right.
Just want to make sure that we're all on the same page so that we don't have to come back there with how that would work. And that would be you talking to Housing Partnership Board and the EOHLC again.
Yes, and in fact, of course, they have the final approval authority, and we need to comply.
Yeah.
We have worked with all sorts of municipalities, some like Boston and Cambridge, who have exceptions from the state rules and they have their own way of doing things, and others like Reading and Salem that follow the state standards. And in fact, the individual that John mentioned to us when we met, we've worked with her at least once before. So we'll make sure that we're fully compliant in all ways.
Okay,
Yep.
perfect. Thank you. So for the committee, you've got the model loaded up, but I think we just wanted to have that ready. I'm not sure.
Make sure we might have to allow the file type to read on the computer. So if that permission will do that.
That might be beyond our capabilities.
Let's try this again.
We also have prepared, maybe it's a filler, to address a first cut at materiality. Do you want to talk about that at this time? Or?
Log in, yeah, log in.
Samples or you?
Well, we have, just right now we have sort of inspiration imagery, and then obviously over time we'll be ultimately providing a mock-up, and we'll actually have the real bricks and the real metals and so on. But for now, if it's worthwhile, while we're waiting, we can show you the last page of your package. Is examples of Hassim's work. We were thinking contextually, obviously the reddish colored brick, and David, you can talk about the texture.
I would just say that the intent, idea for the treatment of masonry is something that's been consistent for 5 years now, which is that we're looking at the buildings in the immediate surroundings, which most of which, the bank, town hall, the white building, and the immediately adjacent buildings, are all very monochromatic in terms of the brick and a very similar tone of cast stone, as opposed to other buildings in town where there's a high contrast between stone and brick. So what we're showing in this first row of images is these historic buildings, and next is a series of buildings we've done, not necessarily to reflect the color of brick, but to show how we're thinking of this level of detail of brick patterning at the base, of small reveals at the corners and around the windows around Mount Vernon, and this is sort of representative of buildings all in historic landmark districts that address that. The second set of images are some images from town where we're pulling inspiration from these copper details along roofs. And while there may be no large copper roof that we identified, we're using that as inspiration for the top 2 floors, as we've discussed before, to use aluminum panels with subtle texture and shift in color. In some of these precedent images, you see a few ways that that's been done on related buildings. We'll be looking at various options for this, looking at various materials, vetting it with technically what kind of panels do we create, what's the pattern, what's exactly the right color. But these are really meant to show that design intent more clearly than is represented in the renderings, which are more.
Are these buildings that you guys have on the right, are the ones
on the right? No.
Can I ask you to pull it out on the screen? If they're in your appendix, they're in the Acrobat.
They're actually in this file.
Last page of the main presentation.
Top
appendix?
Top one, it's actually.
Oh yeah, it is in there.
So my question was going to be, while you pull that up, are these buildings that you guys have developed? And if so, can we get addresses and like drive over and look at what that color looks like?
On the right side, no. These are the left side are our buildings. That's second row. The right side with the copper. These are things.
Have you used the any of the copper colored materials that you're considering using?
We haven't. We've done this with zinc. We've done it with grays.
Okay.
We haven't done it with greens.
Okay.
The building that I mentioned last time actually has pre-patinated copper on it. There's actual copper along with these subtle shift in dark grays and blacks that represent a zinc material.
I think it would be extraordinarily helpful for if you can find buildings that are currently using these materials so that we can actually see what it looks like that we can drive over and look at, even if it's not a building.
How are you willing to travel?
I'd say within 495, I would be willing to. I can't speak for the rest of the board.
So I'm not sure we'll find it. We'll certainly look.
Okay.
And definitely we can order samples of these materials. It may end up being a custom green color to get this subtle shift, and it's something that we would expect to. I'm not sure if this is something we can do in a week or 2 weeks.
I understand.
But certainly would be conditions of getting a permit that we would have samples that would demonstrate how this would work.
I'm not an architect. I'm not a builder. I'm extraordinarily anxious that the color look wrong and that it looks like.
It's important for the color to be accurate compared with the examples that you have that are the real copper.
Sure.
If it looks wrong, the whole building's gonna look wrong. And I know you don't want to do that. So I'm not, like, the last thing you want to do is have your name on a building that looks terrible because the green looks wrong.
Right.
So, but that doesn't, but we also don't want to have our stamp on the building looks terrible because of the wrong green.
Right, and we are, I think, can give you comfort because of that aligned incentive, and also we won't proceed until you're happy, with the look. And the good news is the scene is outstanding, and I think we'll probably get it right on the first cut or two. But I would like to just reassure you that as part of this process, we both made the commitment to Design Review Committee and, of course, to you, that we will get the materiality right, and it would be a locked-in condition before we could start construction.
For me, I'm just going to say this again, I think seeing the material you want to see on an actual building, and if you can find one, even if you can find a building online and that I don't know. I feel like seeing it in a picture and seeing it in person is very different, and sometimes the colors don't quite come out. But we can worry about that later. I just think it's really important. I mean, unless you guys want to get copper, in which case we can just, if you want to go out and buy copper, we can totally end this conversation right now. But short of that.
I think that's something we would evaluate to understand the cost trade-off.
Obviously copper is going to be wicked expensive. I understand that.
And the mock-up, in the end of the day, the mock-up will be the confluence of all of those ideas and decisions, and we'll be able to see. I mean, it'll be a big thing, and we'll be able to see, do we like the way the texture looks? Do we like the way the color looks? We get a different color, we'll work together on that. It is an iterative process. It could take a month or two until we get it right.
And I don't want to belabor the point, but what it looks like holding it in my hands and what it looks like on the top of a building that's 6 stories tall could be very different. So I don't want to belabor the point. I think we're all on the same page as far as that's concerned.
Yeah. I would just make the point that 3 years ago, we started out with grays. That's how we were rendering the top of the building, and I think the feedback we got from the planning board at the time was, can you look at green so it's related to copper, that it's a different material. If we ever found the green didn't work, we're certainly open to gray or a copper color or something else.
Along with what Brian's saying, I think it's also the question of how it ages.
Sure.
I assume, not to get too technical, I assume it's aluminum, I think Paul mentioned before. I assume it's a powder coating, or is it's a powder coating, so that's going to be durable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it'll be a buff matte finish.
Right. We would go for a matte finish that is not a shiny. reflective
Right. So it would look like a
yeah.
Okay.
In fact, it does have the advantage even over copper that copper is very difficult to maintain.
Yeah.
And if it's not maintained by the association, sometimes you have those issues. You want to build this foolproof. It could start to deteriorate, separate, oil can, and things. So while at first blush, copper is sort of, alluring, in practice, it's not always the best thing unless you'll see it on a hospital at MGH. Maybe you've seen that beautiful copper museum they've done. They have very deep resources to maintain that, and maybe the condo association wants something a little more maintenance free. So we've got to strike that balance.
Gotcha.
Are there additional questions, or do we want to move to public comment now? So we were unable to get the model to pull up.
Not unless we can bypass that security.
No, and we're not going to be able to do that tonight. So what would be helpful is if you pull up, just so we have the various views before we take public comment. So if people have questions that relate to a particular view they'd like to see, we have that available. It's in this, but if somebody else wants to specifically, and then I'm gonna, no offense, ask you guys to sit down. We'll open up to public comment. So you guys were probably all still here before. Ian, if you could just run the computer if people need to see anything different. Thank you so much. We're gonna do it the same way. Ask people to raise their hands, call you up. I'm going to try to limit it to 3 minutes. I'm terrible at this, but if you guys help me, then you guys, it'll be better for you too. So again, name, address, and then your public comments. So if you raise your hands, I'm happy to bring. So I see a hand in the back. Even if I know you guys, just state your name and address. And when you hear this go off, if you just tell me if you need a moment more, let me know, because you'll hear it, it's loud. Okay, go ahead.
My name is D.M. O'Connell, 10 Bacon Street in Winchester. Thanks for having me again. I made some comments today and I forwarded them to you. And I think you might remember at the last presentation, my final impassioned plea was to provide a physical model of this building. I've been in the architectural and development business for 40 years, and I know the difference. I know the difference between physical, real, and digital. Digital is more amorphous. I would compare it, or it's analogous to reading a book or using a Kindle. When you see something, touch it, feel it, look at it, pick it up, twist it, contort it like that. There's a huge, huge difference. And I've used both in various projects. And I'll just read my quick note. It's extremely important that the applicant provide a physical scale model of the proposed development. This would be of invaluable benefit to the board in their understanding of the size, the scale, the massing, and height of the project in the context of the surrounding environments. and the existing built environment. Oblique perspective images presented by the developer to date tend to foreshorten the length and height perceptions and don't provide a realistic and comprehensive understanding. I suggest that digital models may also be provided to supplement the physical model and would be a great tool, the physical model, that I'm confident the board would appreciate. As you can see, I'm real big on the physical model. Now, I recognize that you have a very important task here. We're all talking about gateway projects today. This is not a gateway project. This is the gateway project. This is probably, I would argue, the most important project that ever come before this planning board. I would seriously consider it will be. And you are provided with zoning guidelines, design guidelines, and certain tools to in order that you come to the right decision and protect the public interest, because that's basically what we're trying to do. And under 4.2 planned unit development, it specifically says the development team must provide an accurate project model at 1 to 20 scale for presentation and design purposes, including adjacent build or planned buildings. The purpose of this physical model and related computer analysis will give the town an idea of the extent of shadow on the open space system and adjoining private development. So I would be very disappointed. I really would, if we're just going to rely on a digital model. And I could, if you put some up with some of the perspectives that we saw earlier, and I'll show you what I mean when I say, for example, here, Town Hall is in the foreground, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's huge. The new development is tiny. Across the street, you see the pink building, if you're aware of it. It's about 35 foot tall. Oh my God, it's about the same height as a 70-foot tall building. Now tell me, does that image tell the truth? If you can pass to any others, you'll see the same thing. Pink building, same height. Oh, that's pretty good. Nothing to worry about here, I can see. Next, if you just flick through a few. Again, pink building, you can see. Anyway, keep going. Now that, go, if you go back. That one gives you an idea of the bulk and size of this thing. And look at the size of the people and the scale at the street level at this. And this again is foreshortened because you're looking up at it. It's actually, if you pull back, it'll be much bigger. But please, just if you can proceed.
Can I ask you to try to wrap it up, just so that, because we have a lot of people.
Just maybe one other image, just so you do. There you go. A slight addition on the back of the library, that's about 35 foot tall. But the image, because it's in the foreground, is giving the impression of a small building. So the last comment I would like to make is, it's an environmental question. Shadow studies should be provided outlining the seasonal shadow impact of adjoining buildings on open spaces and the mill pond in particular. The extent of undesirable shadow will have a significant environmental impact affecting the biodiversity of the pond, particularly in the fall and winter seasons. Significant light pollution from such a huge building will also adversely affect the biological habitat of the pond and the surrounding area and should not be ignored. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. I think I'm being really generous here. Please try to help me help you. So if anybody else additional public comment, raise your hand and I will call you up. Okay, come on up. You know how I work. I'm not going to cut you off, but please try.
David Feigenbaum, 3 Meadowcroft Road. You don't know how I work, but I'm going to keep this to 30 seconds. The building is too tall. It's too tall by at least 2 stories, and shame on every one of you if you vote for this. This is not what is desirable for Winchester. It's not meant for Winchester. the citizens of Winchester will be shocked when they see the size of this building. They'll be outraged. They'll say, how did that happen? And I'm hoping that she'll make sure it doesn't happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You win as far as timing.
I did? How long was it?
About 20 seconds. Oh, I meant as far as short. Short is winning. Next, is somebody else? Come on up.
Hi, my name is Michelle McCarthy. I am a longtime Winchester resident. I am also a member of the Historic Commission for too many years to count, and I am a member of the town meeting. And I thank you so much to everyone for giving me the opportunity to speak. I do want to thank the developer and the designer. I know how much work was put into this, and I hate to play negative. I really do hope that one day Haseen Associates and architects build something in our town. I do believe that this is a beautiful building, but I do believe it is just way too tall and way too big. And I would beg them to please shrink it if we could. I asked Taylor, I'm sorry, I was having technical difficulties earlier, to please bring up some photos in town. I think it's really important for residents to see the height of this building. And when I show it to people at a field hockey game and I explain it and they say, that's huge, how could this be happening? I think we just know it was.
Michelle, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to bring it up.
Okay.
But
well,
I can.
If you just brought up a picture of, McCall Middle School.
Sure.
That would be great. I tried to email to you today. Sorry if it didn't go through. I think I just want to show folks that if you look at McCall Middle School, it is 3 stories. If you look at the height of even the Lincoln School, I know it's on a hill, but it's 3 stories. If you pull up just the image of McCall, thank you so much. I think this is really important for residents to see that this building is a beautiful historic building in our beautiful historic downtown. And if you compared it to this new design, the new design would be double the size, double the height. And I think that that is not a great design or height for our beautiful historic town center. Part of the reason I'm here is I love historic preservation. I bought my house here, and I think everyone knows that many people vote over and over to say that please protect our town center. I think that's what I'm asking the planning board to do. We can build something beautiful on this beautiful spot, but you are building something on a national register. The property of town center is a national register landmark, as is the pond. So you're actually impacting negatively, I feel, 2 important historic locations in our town. And I ask that you please work with the developers and the architects to build something here that's just shorter, not as wide. One day I would love to live downtown, and I would love to maybe live in this building, but I would not ever buy something in this building. It is way too big, and I think that you have a difficult job here, planning board members, but I think you have a huge responsibility to do the right thing, that it will forever be there. And I do ask that you please share, my final comment, please share more visuals with the town. I don't think you're trying to be secretive, but everyone is so busy. And this is not on residents' page. Like, people are not aware of this unless you're, crazy historic commission member. So when I show it to people, they just don't believe me. They're like, that's never going to be built in town. And I think that that's going to come back to haunt you if you don't share this more. I know when we worked on Main Street, like Diab had meetings at the Jenks Center where all town meeting members were invited, residents were invited, and people could really see the visuals. And I think that really helped people support it. And I think that if Haseen Associates could build something shorter and smaller, I think people would be really excited. But we want to see more green space in our beautiful downtown. And I actually am really concerned too about the due process here. According to our zoning bylaw, this new design should have come in front of Historic Commission. It did not. I've asked Taylor, I've asked Bruce Hickey. I don't understand why, and I really do think that, I don't think you should be voting tonight. I think it should be coming in front of Historic Commission. So if that could be discussed amongst the planning board members, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much for the time, and thank you to everyone involved. I know a lot of work was put into this, and I do appreciate it.
Thank you very much. You did not win. David still's winning. Additional public comment. Come on up. Jen, you come up first, and then we'll chain afterwards.
Charlie, do you want to sit with me? Thanks. I brought more support.
So you know how it works?
I do.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Wilson. I live at 3 Euclid Avenue, but I'm here in my capacity as chair of the advisory board of the Winchester Council on Aging. Do you want to introduce yourself,
And I'm
Charlie?
Charles Price, I live at 71 Bacon Street, and I'm currently president of the Winchester Seniors Association.
So Charlie is an honorary and yet critical member of the Council on Aging board. So I submitted written comments earlier in the day, but I'm going to share a few highlights and a scenario. So at the Council on Aging, we spend a lot of time helping residents remain in their homes as they age. So this is very hard for them for physical and financial reasons often. Many adults want to stay in the community that they love, but they fear, and with good reason, that there is no place else for them to go in Winchester that fits their needs. The Housing Production Plan and the Age-Friendly Winchester Survey say the same thing that we hear every week. There is a scarcity of right-sized, accessible homes in Winchester. For seniors, what works is simple: single-level living, ground floor or elevator access, and easy walking to town services, houses of worship, medical offices, the library, and, of course, the Jenks Center. Both our boards and many other boards in our community spend a lot of time thinking about affordable housing, and it's important, and we should. But beyond affordability, we just need more housing of all types, and in particular, senior-friendly housing. Creating a diversity of housing so that Winchester remains a community for all ages is a public good that, in our view, justifies some relief from typical dimensional restrictions. A brief example, and we all have them. I knew a wonderful Winchester couple, a teacher in the Winchester schools and an academic who raised their family here, and they gave enormously to this town of their time, of their charitable dollars in many, many ways. And as they aged on a fixed income, the single-family home that they had bought decades earlier no longer made sense for them. If a smaller, single-floor, elevator-served option downtown had existed, they could have sold their home with its appreciated value, reduced their property tax and some maintenance costs, stayed close to neighbors, organizations, and the faith community that they loved. Instead, they moved to Woburn. Nothing against Woburn, but they would have loved to have stayed here, and Winchester would have benefited from keeping them here. We all know people like that from our neighborhoods, our congregations, our community groups, the many boards that we serve on in our town. Maybe it's our siblings, maybe it's our parents. When older residents can right-size in our community, larger homes turn over to younger families. May I have one more minute, please?
Absolutely.
That strengthens schools, local businesses, and civic life. It is a win-win. In sum, this project adds the kind of homes that older residents need in the walkable center where they can thrive. It advances our adopted housing goals, and paired with any reasonable conditions that you may impose, it does deliver a net public benefit. I thank you all for your service. I respect your very challenging decision ahead, and we ask for you to grant the special permit for this project.
If I could just reinforce Jennifer's comments, as president of the Winchester Seniors Association, we deal with several thousand people that go to the Jenks Center every day. We have vans that move people in and out to get them to where we want to go. So many more people will be able to take advantage of living downtown as opposed to remotely accessing that center. And I think this project would allow a lot more people to stay in the community, as Jennifer says, and to take full advantage of the services and the wonderful community that we have. So, like Jennifer, I support moving ahead with this project. Thanks.
Thank you both very much.
With the chair's indulgence, may I remove my chair of the COA hat for a moment and make a citizen comment of 1 minute?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not trying to limit anybody's public comments. So.
Thank you. Charlie has nothing to do with this. So I've never been on the planning board, but I was on the select board at the time that the town adopted the CBD revisions, and I served on the cross-board group that worked on them and helped process the public comment. There were many people from other boards who did, both government boards and the Jenks Center, the Chamber of Commerce. They were monthly, bi-weekly meetings. People sat at this table month in, month out for a long time to get those done. And in many ways, the planning board was way ahead of its time because it was focused on housing and the need for housing in the town center before there was a housing production plan in Winchester, before there was the Communities Act, before people were focused on transit-oriented planning. So while I wasn't on the planning board, I learned from you all, you can zone, but you cannot develop and build. You can only create the opportunity. So I think everyone wanted character to be preserved. All right, 30 seconds. Everyone wanted character to be preserved. Everyone wanted housing. Everyone wanted to unleash more potential of the town center. We probably had different ideas of where those ranked on the priority scale. So you have that tough decision, but one point of context is, I think a lot of us thought that that height was going to start closer to the center of the business district. And if more development had happened there earlier, this would all feel very different. We might even have a different proposal that represented more of a cascade. We might also have less pent-up demand for housing because it would have already been approved in other places. We have a lot of character. We need more housing.
Thank you very much. Appreciate both of your comments.
Thank you.
You also didn't win.
Twice.
Hello, E. King Scott, 2 Ravenscroft.
Thank you.
I'm a town meeting member and serve on the Housing Partnership Board, but I speak for myself. I also served when this first came on, 10 Commerce 1.0, and I arrived midstream when the previous board that turned over fully, except for one person, handed us the prelude of that. And we came in with a decision that, we have this, the biggest rub I hear for years is that it's too big and it's too wide, it's too tall, too wide. But the very, very nerdy and in the weeds thing about this code is that it's a 3.0 FAR. And for those who don't know, it's floor area ratio, which means if the building took up the entire we of that slot, it would be 3 stories high. Right, they would be allowed 3 stories high if they fulfilled all the PUDs. And so when we received it, that previous board wanted to push for open space near the river. And so when you push it, and I think they reduced it by 40%, when you push that very geometric dimension of 3 stories to a smaller footprint, it increases in height. And that 2.0, it's a very hard decision. I sympathize with you. It's so time consuming, and it's such a big decision because it is center of town. It was 5 stories, and I was part of the board that approved it 4-1. I was part of the EA. It was hard. It's 5 stories. And Concom, just to reiterate the history of it, Concom would not allow it in a certain footprint, so it got shrunk even further, and so now it is 6 stories. And in the footprint that it is. So that is why it is so tall and so wide. It's because town meeting 10 years ago, so eloquently said, wanted housing. And they approved of 3.0 FAR, which is sort of key. And unless you want to change that, which would mean going to town meeting and changing the zoning again, it's right there, black and white, in the code. And so I think that faced with that reality, you have best possible case scenario with Hasina Associates designing this. I mean, this is a gorgeous best case scenario, right? I think, it's tall. That's what town meeting wanted is that density of housing. And so many people want to shrink it and want it to disappear and not see it. And yet town meeting wanted housing in the center of town. So I would argue, why not see it? Why not see a beautiful symbol of housing and of how the town wants to build and to serve its people? So I would urge you to say yes. And if not, I think you have two very good decisions. A 40B would be also awesome. We also very, very much need affordable housing. And, let's show contemporary
One more minute.
Winchester that, we can build affordable housing beautifully, just like Waterfield. And so, I think you have two very good, I'm not being facetious, I think a 40B would be wonderful here too, but you have two very possible outcomes. And, one is quite beautiful and one could be very, very healthy for our town. So good luck. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, and thank you for your service. Additional, come on up. Just so I know, is there anyone else here who's anticipating wanting to give public comment? Okay, so I got two more after you. I'm going to allow the last three of you, and then I'm going to end public comment after that.
Maureen Meister, 3 Meadowcroft Road. Just for the record, I was here with the first has seen submission, so let's be clear, I've been there. I do want to say that with the passing of the CBD regs that went before town meeting, which Mrs. Wilson referred to, that you begin with all of this, and I was there again, I was in the whole way from beginning to end, that if you want to go back to the 7.3 in your zoning bylaw, this is where you begin. You do need to be thinking of this legally because you are a governmental agency. So please go back before you vote and review what is in 7.3. Point 1, purpose. And one purpose is promote and protect Winchester Center's historic resources and small town character. Hello, small town character while encouraging selective development to promote smart growth. This isn't it. So you can go on and you can ask, well, what's happening here? Yeah, it's true. Conservation Commission denied the movement because of the River Waste Protection Act. So this has made a limit, and we understood that limit. So this property has a limit. It's limited. If you guys want to go through with this one area which says more diverse housing opportunities under the PUD, well, what are you getting for it? Well, your PUD right now, you've got 34 units and you've got 31 are going to be regular market rate and 3 affordable. I don't think that's a very good opportunity for the town. So with Eaching Scott, I agree. Let's go for a 40B. You look at what's coming in at Washington and Swanton. It's actually a pretty decent project. Please, let's not insult a 40B. They can be attractive. Let's get something for what we're doing here. I would urge you to deny it, and then let's revisit what our vision is collectively. If you like the zoning, fine. Let's see if we can go into a 40B. Work with the select board. We can do a whole lot better with this parcel. There are many more opportunities ahead. I remember at the last meeting of this hearing, Jack, Mr. Lemenage asked, well, what happens if we deny it? I think we can do a lot better. And then, unfortunately, it's either yes or no. At that point, let's go no and see if we can do something better. We've seen it, and I think we're seeing it right now at Washington and Swanton. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have 2 more public comments from the people who raised their hands. So either one of you want to come up first? I urge you to be under 3 minutes, please.
I was only 2 last time. Dorothy Simboli, 17 Bigelow Avenue. I'm a town meeting member and I'm also the chair of the zoning board, but I'm speaking on behalf of myself. I agree with the first commenter about we need more model. We need a physical model, and I would ask that the physical model include topography and full detail of the MBTA and elevations. What I saw there, I couldn't see where there was change in the heights of streets and Lincoln sits up high. I mean, it all just looked like one flat surface. That's not what our downtown is. I agree with Jennifer Wilson about housing for empty nesters. We have lost a significant portion of our empty nester tax base to Woburn already. Truevale at Shannon Farm and Village at Winning Farm. I mean, we're talking about a lot of tax dollars that are leaving this town and going elsewhere. And these are people who also provide resources to the town. They volunteer on boards. They volunteer with different organizations. We do not want to lose these people. So I do I do agree on the density of the housing that we're talking about. We're also talking about a private developer on privately owned land. So we have limitations in terms of how much we can restrict what's happening here. The last comment I would make is you just approved 972 Main Street. There will be more. So I guess, and I understand that we have regulations or rules about what we're trying to protect downtown Winchester and the historic nature of it. But what is the point in terms of creating all of this density and housing around it and then just having little downtown Winchester be so protected? So I'm not saying that it's not big, it is big, but we do need to sort of have some give and take here. I mean, we can't just keep protecting downtown Winchester for forever. And I guess that's my comment, but I would like to see that. I don't think you guys can, I personally would not be able to make a decision without a physical model and without seeing like everything, physically of what's going on.
Thank you very much. Under 3 minutes, I appreciate it. And last public comment?
Thank you all again. I'm Jamie Duvall. I live at 7 Dix Terrace. I'm chair of the Design Review Committee. I'm also a registered architect. And I'm going to start with the simple point I wanted to make about the metal top. First of all, I think it's too tall, and I don't even want the top 2 stories. But my experience with metal is it does not age well. I have used aluminum roofs, and they get splotchy. I have used lead-coated copper, and it gets splotchy. And I think it's a poor choice. And looking at a new piece of metal with the brick is not going to do it because it ages, and it doesn't age well in my mind. And then I want to go to the question of the model, and I agree that we need a physical model. These images to me feel like lies. Maybe they're not, but they really are not convincing. I cannot tell how tall that building is from the bird's eye view. All of the buildings look like a mass. It's just not useful for me at all. And I think we actually are, it reads the development team must provide an accurate physical model at 1:20 scale with context around it. I also want to point out again that this is 70 feet tall, and I don't think you can probably pull up the images I made last time where you can actually see on photographs. If you could, that'd be great, how much space this takes in our view corridors and hides the church steeple and hides the town hall and just dominates the valley of Winchester Center. And I think a physical model would help that, but I also think my images got to that. If you can get it, that would be great. So 70 feet tall is about the height of the park view. It's taller than any building in Winchester Center. It'll be 21 feet taller than the maximum special permit height for a building in the East Core. And we haven't talked again about the elevator shaft, which will be taller, and the telecom equipment, which will be on the roof. And last time I talked about we need to look at the architecture of it. The top floor in this view will see a corridor going past with mechanical equipment on the 5th floor roof that's screened. We've been reassured it will be screened. But if you look at apartment buildings, the corridors and the lobbies have cold light on and exit signs showing through the windows. It's not a pleasant window like apartment building windows where lights turn on and off and it's a warmer light. This view is going to be ruined. And also you can see this view from Church Street in places. You can see it from the town common.
Can I give you
Yeah,
30
I
seconds
know
more?
my time is up, and I said that before, but I really want to stress that. I think it's 2 stories too tall. If it were 1 story lower, that's fine. I too want housing in the, not necessarily on this site, but sure, if it were the 4-story brick building, I wouldn't even be here. I think the lower 4 stories are beautiful, but the top, no. Also, I agree that if we had to lose this view, I wouldn't want it to luxury housing. I am ready probably to move into something like this, and it's just not fair to have to just have people who can afford to pay probably millions of dollars to live there, when if it were 40B, you could get that teacher with a pension, which someone mentioned, could probably move in.
Thank you.
I'm sorry?
I said thank you. How much more time do you need?
I don't.
literally?
I really probably have said, but I think we need
Okay.
the model, and it's just too tall.
Thank you.
And we got to think about elevators, and we need more detail too. We need more detail before you can vote on it.
Thank you.
May I ask her a question?
Absolutely.
If you were to design a building that's 6 stories high and you wanted that difference at the top, and you're saying that this metal is not the right approach, what would you do? Just to show, for different texture, different color, what would you put up there?
I wouldn't put up a different color. I actually was looking at the back of the McCall Middle School, which is 5 stories because it slopes down, and it has a low slate roof. I mean, like, the other thing is when you look at the beautiful red brick in Winchester, and I really appreciate that they're using the town hall and what was the Northmark Bank across the street, that rich red without mortar joints really showing. That's really, really pretty. I do not want a 6-story building, but I'd rather actually have a sophisticated 6-story red brick, which will wear well, than the metal top that's pretending to not be a story, but be the sky. I mean, it's 6 stories. Whether it's brick or metal, it's 6 stories.
So brick rather than the metal.
Well, I don't even, it shouldn't be that tall.
No, okay, if you put this in Woburn.
No, I mean, this site, it shouldn't be that tall.
Okay.
But yeah.
I think that's the answer
But
we got.
I don't think that the top should be metal. And I think if you look at the back of like the McCall Middle School, you can see just simple brick. And also, it's not fair to compare the top of this building with the peaks of like Town Hall, which has a slate roof too. Thank you so much. And thank you for all your work.
Thank you. Thank you. That will close public comment. Is 9:35 now. So we are back to the questions at hand, which are, we requested a model. I just wanted to throw up, several people have said we should request a physical model. I'm asking the committee if that's something they want, or if we don't fully have the digital model for technical reasons. We have views, but we don't have the go in and spin around and look at everything that we could look at. And that's no slight on the developers, but it is, however, the reality of what we have tonight is that we don't have that access to that. And we don't have a physical model. If we want one, I don't know if they're even prepared to do it. But we could say it's contingent. I want to know what you guys want. We also are missing, I'll point out that we're missing John tonight. So while he was recused from the previous project, he is not recused from this. He's simply not here.
I just had some comments.
By all means. We need to.
And I'm not sure, I mean, where to start. I mean, I think it has to go to the Historical Commission, if I'm not mistaken, or it should. I mean, it does impact an important historic area.
Agreed if it has not.
Well, can I, because since I used to be the chair of historical, the CBDRS has that agency. However, the Design Review Committee and the Historical Commission have the right to comment on any project in the Center Business District. But we rely on the CBDRS for our findings. That's not to say we wouldn't listen to what the other two committees say, but they speak through the CBDRS, which is the way the bylaw was designed.
Do you know, do we know why this did not go? I mean, because it's not for us to send it to them, is it?
So the project was sent to to all advisory boards at the beginning.
To them, and the CBDRS.
It was sent to them. They made the decision not to review it. The project is still open. If they want to review it,
Can I ask you? I mean, it's a little out of line, but thank you. I appreciate it.
It is very open. It's still an open project. The Historical Commission can review it. They've had several meetings. They have chosen not to. I welcome their ability to review it if they would like to, and I think everyone on the board would too.
Sure, absolutely. Okay.
I mean, I think the Historic Commission always has valuable insight, and I think their comments would be welcome. I think for me, it would not be decisive. I have definitely known teachers who have retired and moved out of town, and they were not limited by the fact that they couldn't find 2- and 3-bedroom opportunities in town. They were limited by the cost of them, and I think that allowing a dramatic change to the downtown is something that we should take seriously. People don't move here because the town will inevitably keep getting taller, which it probably will, but they move here because we can see lots of sky, we have lots of green space. It does not feel like Boston, and we are very close to Boston, and that's a really special opportunity that we have that we work hard to protect. And I think in terms of, I also take seriously the fact that opportunity should be available to a range of individuals, and that opportunity should remain in place for our residents as they age in place, as they get divorced, as they graduate and start their families and want to, be in town so that they can enter the blood sport of buying a house here. And I don't think that we have to use the center business district to gatekeep the cost of living here. I don't disagree with the comments that, I've spent a lot of time thinking, okay, if we say no to this, it's a beautiful building. If this were asking for the allowable height in the CBD, even with the 48-foot special permit, this would be a no-brainer. This building is beautiful. It was not a courtesy to Concom that it scooted back from the waterfront. It had to meet the interests of the Wetlands Protection Act. It got on the degraded land. It's a thoughtful developer. I would love to be working with them, but I don't know if giving up the skyline of downtown for these are going to be luxury condos. I'm not hearing a content of the building that's not going to be pricing people out of Winchester. And so to me, the Historic Commission comments will be interesting. But I think the 2 stories, I'm not hearing anything that compels me to make this a PUD. I think we need better. I'm not convinced.
I'd like to speak to that a little bit as well.
Yeah, you were going before, and that's fine. Back to you.
I think.
Sorry, Nick.
I think a 40B would not be the worst thing. I mean, it's certainly not worse than 69 feet. In fact, it could be, it could be a good thing. I mean, look at Washington and Swanton. I mean, that seems to have worked out pretty well. You can't do any worse than 70 feet. I mean, everyone's saying, "Oh, we'll never get another Haseen." I mean, Washington and Swanton is looking well, and and I can't, I guess, I have to, really support what you're saying, that the units are huge, and it's luxury housing. And to the point that Jennifer was saying, those teachers are not going to be able to afford to live here. So they're not even going to be market rate affordable by any stretch. I mean, they're just really, they're all huge for what they are. It's going to be luxury housing. I just want to get through just
absolutely no. The floor is yours. This is too important to cut anybody off. We didn't cut them off.
So it's not better than anything else we could get. I mean, we could do well. If this is denied, the bank will have to rethink the value of the property. I mean, zoning certainly affects property value.
Yeah, I mean, ideally the same group ends up getting a deal.
They're probably done if we say no.
You know, I don't know. Again, it's sort of a similar issue where I don't like to design by committee, but you know, I'm not sure that this would influence. I did have written down that 53G should be considered. So maybe we should think about that. But you know, ultimately, it's just way too tall. It's 70 feet, and they're all luxury units. I mean, pretty much.
Except for 3.
Right. Even the market rate ones aren't. They're at the high end of whatever you could do. You know, it's not going to be something that it's going to be a struggle for a lot of people that want to downsize.
Yeah, and it's on the.
Do you have more that you want to?
I think.
Because I certainly don't want to cut you off.
Yeah. No, I think I've covered the main points that I had. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So, did you have additional points you wanted to bring up right now?
I'm good. Thank you, though.
So, I'm torn because I think this, despite what we've heard, is a beautiful building.
That's a beautiful building.
I love what it looks like, but I have to think about whether they're meeting the requirements. And I went over this at the last meeting, and I'll go over it again for the public. They're allowed to build 40 feet by right within 1.5 FAR by right. They can go to 48 feet by special permit or a 2.5 FAR. Those two together, however it works. And then if we deem that they meet the requirements of the PUD, which they do for area, then they can go to a 3.0 FAR or to essentially an unlimited height. I would argue it was probably an oversight of the writing of this to have that be unlimited, but that is the law. We may allow that. We're not required to allow that. So the 3.0 is a may allow the 3.0. It's not a required that we allow it. It's that we may allow it. So I think I just struggle that the height of this building, I'm not sure it meets the requirements of the PUD based on diversity of housing. It's certainly high-end housing aside from the 3 affordable units and then the additional 2 workforce units. So I'm torn, and in my mind, I refuse to say what happens if we don't approve this. Is it going to be a 40B? Is it going to be this? Is it going to be that? I don't think that we don't have that on our plate tonight. We can't look down and say with any clarity. I would argue that if this building cannot be financially viable at 5 or 4 stories, with the number of affordable units that are required, it's going to be hard to be financially viable as a 40B with 25% affordable units. So, but that's not on our plate. We don't get to decide whether this is a 40B or not. We get to decide whether this, as presented, meets is approvable. So,
yeah,
I struggle with the height. I really appreciate the what you wrote for us because I think it gave us some perspective of how we could go about that. But I think we said in the last meeting, when this building is built and I'm walking down the street and somebody looks at it and says, that's 6 stories, how did you approve it? Why did you approve it? I want to be able to say, I approved it, I voted to approve it among the other 5 of us because of this, this, and this. And I'm not convinced that that height is basically is warranted. But then again, that's the first I saw. We've only had 4 hours to sort of digest what was written and to sort of come to whether that is convincing. So I think that's where I stand right now is that I don't know if others, have anything else they want to add. I'm hearing similar things from other people, but I certainly don't want to put words into other people's mouths. And we're lacking a member of ours.
I share the common concern that the building is too tall. It's troubled me from the beginning, even the original design. Nevertheless, the CBD zoning bylaw is more than 10 years old, and we have little to show for it in terms of new downtown residents. I take to heart what Jennifer Wilson said, and I know that if she were here, Marty from the
Affordable Housing Trust.
Affordable Housing Trust, who wrote us, would say the same thing, that it's adding valuable downtown residences. I don't want to give David a big head, but I think that having Hasten Associates build a design in Winchester is really a notch on our belt. I think it would really be a nice addition. The library, which is quite remarkable, was designed by Robert Coit, and it's noted for that. And I think Hastings' reputation would similarly add class to our downtown architecture. In the 10 years that this property has remained empty in the midst of our new bylaw, we have not been collecting tax revenue. Mr. Ognabeni said that our new tax would be approximately $550,000, and of course that would go up 2.5% every year. That should not be the chief determinant of our decision here, but if we turn this down, we're just going to add more years with no tax revenue and no residences downtown. I think there's a lot positives to say about this project. The shared open space is appealing. It works well with the Tri-Community Bikeway. I also think that, yes, we're talking about a potential 40B. The designer of the owner of a 40B is not going to hire Hasten Associates. I venture to say that it would be there's Sanctuary East and Sanctuary West, and this would be a Sanctuary downtown. And I live near the Sanctuary West, and I'm not at all pleased with that design, and I have to look at it frequently. And I walk by it frequently, and it really bums me out, frankly. And I don't want a property like that downtown. I would really like to explore the possibility of knocking off the 6th floor. Mr. Ognabeni testified at the CBDRS that no 6th floor means no building. And I have to believe him, but perhaps there's some room for negotiation. But
thank you.
That said, I support this project.
Thank you. Taylor, do you have suggestions of how we proceed at 9:50 at night tonight?
I think especially with the absence of a member, and with the forthcoming decision by Concom expected to be next week, which is crucial to the planning, should be crucial to the planning board's decision, that the board continue this hearing until November 4th.
Okay. So I'd like, before we do that, to ask the committee, just so we can get this off the table, is there a desire to ask for a physical model? Otherwise, we're going to have public comment come to us next week and ask the same thing. So I just want, if we want to ask for that, they may or may not be able to do it. I understand that. But I want it, if we want it, we need to ask for it. And if we don't ask for it, then at least we can, the public can hear that we have asked to not, are not asking for it.
I mean, we can't approve a 6-story building in town without it's not.
Physical model.
Yeah, I mean, the pictures are hilarious. I think we need something that's more,
Can it be 3D printed?
what is the word? 3D printed.
Hey.
I don't care what, I'm telling you, set the third graders on it as a Lego
My
project.
son can do it.
We just need we need something that's scaled objective. Maybe we just need a third party to do the picture. I don't know, but all of the pictures have been enjoyable, but potentially not 100% accurate.
And in fairness to the applicant, we were unable to get the.
And that could have been, we had the digital model for the last version of this, I thought was helpful. Okay. And I don't think it'll shadow the pond because the sun's in the wrong direction, but it's helpful to see the shadows across the town.
So I just want to know how we want to move ahead, because what I don't want to do we asked for two specific things.
Well, I don't want to get to a night where we're approving it and we've never asked. So
No.
if we need to ask as early as possible, we asked at the last meeting.
We asked for a model. We were not specific,
We're
whether it be a
entitled
digital.
to ask for a physical model.
I don't think that was clear.
I think we asked for what was in the bylaw, which is a physical model.
Is it though?
Maybe it says digital or physical.
I'll look at the minutes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what the bylaw says. I don't think.
I know what the
I don't
bylaw
think-
says.
I believe it was a three-dimensional model.
The physical model is required, but they can ask for the digital model to be, it's a waiver.
Okay.
Let me look at the minutes here.
We may require 3D model.
Damn. What other option? It's not recorded in the minutes one way or the other. Oh, it just says project model. Sorry, that's all it says, project model. We didn't say
So-
physical project model.
So if we want to be crystal
if the
clear.
digital model is going to be a moving version of that, then we need a
What's in the
physical
bylaw?
It says physical model.
I don't,
So, I mean, that's what I thought.
since we don't know and it's unresolved, maybe we say we require a model, and by morning, we'll let you know what we dig out in the bylaw.
For the record, it says physical model. The applicant is specifically requesting that you accept this model as their model. You can say no. I mean, just vote on. Just say, do you want a physical model or not? You can,
If somebody wants to make a motion to that extent, we'll have an opportunity. I don't want to be here in 2 weeks with us debating on whether we want a physical model.
I think people want to see it, and it's our downtown. I move that we request a physical model.
Second.
I'll second. Okay.
Any discussion? Roll call. Nick? Carrie?
Aye.
Jack?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. So that is a request. Yes?
May I speak?
Well, hold on a second. Is there anything else we want to? You will come up. Do we want to?
Nothing else from the applicant. I think I have my own work to do figuring out.
I do want to ask the applicant a question.
Okay, come on up. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Appreciate your patience tonight. Of course. Thank you.
Say your piece, and then I'll ask my question.
Thank you. Let's see. So if it would be helpful, a few points of order. In terms of diversity, we've heard a lot of discussion. It sounds like diversity of housing sometimes means affordability only. And I think it's worth noting that yes, affordable housing is a component, but there's also other components to making diverse housing. Sizes of units. Therefore, that goes to follow price points. Of course, there's some affordable housing here, which is a price point in itself. There's style of housing. In our case, we have, again, a mix of 1s, 2s, and 3s in various sizes. Some are large, some are small. The average median price home in Winchester, according to an AI search, is $1.5 million, and what's on the market is $1.75. This provides opportunities. Yes, there will be some that are that price and maybe more, but there will also be some that are much less. So it provides opportunities for people. I think the empty nester crowd is a very good point, that someone selling a median priced home can take some money off the table, sell their home, buy a unit here, it'd be a 1-bedroom perhaps, or a smaller 2-bedroom, and they could then use some of their savings to live for their retirement. So diversity of housing is also age-based. Someone noted there's all styles of life can live in this building. Not all styles of life can live in a median-priced single family in Winchester. This could be divorcees, it could be widows, it could be singles just starting careers with relatively high-paying jobs. It could be families. It could be people retiring who want to have their grandkids come over in a 3-bedroom. So it does provide a diversity of housing. I just hope we don't just get hung up on affordable, because there is an affordable component, but it's not the only definition of diverse. So that was one thing. In terms of the 40B, just to understand how it works from a developer's perspective, the 40B generally is seen as a negative for towns, municipalities, because the sky's the limit. There are no local zoning controls any longer. So if the concerns are over height and aesthetics, a 40B runs the opposite direction. There could be no height restriction. This could be 150 feet. I mean, that's not an exaggeration. And it could be a 6.0 FAR. It could be a 12.0 FAR. It really doesn't matter. There's no say anymore at the local level. And ultimately, it will have the aesthetics that whatever is given to it, because there's no review boards, there's no design review, there's no developer who wants to make this look great. And by the way, it's only 25% affordable. The other 75% is often market rate. So, you know, the percentages are, it's not like this is, oh, well, we'll accept all that because it's, 100% affordable. That's not the case. So that's just a point of order. And then, of course, in terms of our direction, we really want to make this work. We are very committed to making this the best project possible. We brought some new things to the table today that maybe we didn't emphasize enough. Maybe they're not enough to move the needle, but we would like to contribute a community space that enables people from the town to use the space, use the building in a community way. We have some ideas on how that might work. Maybe it's the coffee shop that closes at 6 becomes open to the community after hours. We want to add this bicycle station as well, which enables people to maybe move around downtown. It's maybe the more fit elderly folks, but it's also people of all ages. So those are a couple new additions, community benefits. So we're at the juncture where we need to understand if we're able to move forward. We very much appreciate that the building is tall in some people's eyes, and in other people's eyes, it's not tall enough. Or it is just right, or it should be accepted because of the bylaws and so on. So we've heard from some important voices tonight, but there are some voices that we've also heard from that are not saying the same thing. And I believe the select board, for whatever that commentary works, there's a letter in there that was that they're universally behind it. And they're sort of representative of the town in some ways too. So for us, if we go through the energy and effort to build a physical model, we'd be delighted to do it if it would be helpful. But if it's not really going to change anyone's mind anyway, because it's too tall, is it worth the tens of thousands of dollars potentially and time and effort to build a model? I guess, you could maybe help us give some guidance here. But if it gives a good reason we could say, okay, these images, I know people think they're like make-believe or something, but they're computer generated. I mean, they just do what they do. They're not faked, or they're not. And we took 17 different places all over town to ensure that there wasn't one gerrymandered perspective. But if the physical model's helpful, we've got a stack of them in our office that nobody ever wanted to look at or cares to see it again. And maybe this will be useful here, maybe it'll go in the trash. We'll make it. But we want to do everything we can to be good stewards of this property, good neighbors coming into the town. But we sort of would like the guidance to know, if we do that, can we accept the 6 stories? Because in our case, the only way it can work is with a 6-story building. We've already shortened it up by over a third to create this beautiful green space. And as someone eloquently noted, that means it kind of had to go up, not by too much, only by 7 feet taller than it is today. And the 4th and 6th floors are set in, so the general experience for most people in most places in town will experience a building that's less than it is today. But nevertheless, it's tall. It's 69 feet. So anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to add. And if you can give us direction, we'd really appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. Before your question, I just want to emphasize something that was just said, which is, I don't want to ask for a model. I don't want to ask for a model, which we just did, but I don't want to if the answer is simply going to be, we think it's, and
No,
that
my
was.
point is the same as the design review comment. Like, if we get to the vote and we're voting and people are like, we never saw a model, we can't go back and be like, we should have asked for one back in
Fair, but I totally respect that.
Yeah.
If if people, which I know no one's going to say, if people have decided in their mind for whatever reason that the building's too tall, we should say that and not make them make a model, just so that we can, if that's not where people are, only you know what's in your head right now, then if that will help you make a decision, then that's useful. But if the answer is already no, it's too tall, we can't justify it based on PUD, which has very specific guidelines that they say may, so it leaves us a lot of wiggle room to decide whether we want to do that or not. But that's why I was reluctantly voted yes for the physical model, but it's just tough. So you had questions.
Just one question. I alluded to the comment you made at the September 18th CBDRS meeting, and if I may quote you in full, you said there's a trade-off, either higher and narrower or lower and wider. We are constrained by the site and the FAR. Also the finances. The bank took back the property at a loss. If we lop off the top floor, it wouldn't work financially. No sixth floor means no building. No means no, is what you're saying. I mean, there's no room for negotiation.
I think that's right, because I can't speak for the bank, but I do know that the auction was public, and the auction price that they received was a certain dollar amount, call it X. We're offering X plus, and that's why they went with us instead of the auction. So they were willing to take, instead of an as-is, where-is sale that would have closed in 30 days, they said, we'll work with you because the X plus is worth it to give you the time to get the building approved. If we lose the 6th floor and go down to 5, that puts them in a position where they may as well take the fast 30-day close, because that's the margin of difference in the pricing.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's fair.
So we're left with, we've requested a model. Again, if we in our hearts say we're going to say no because we don't think it satisfies, or we don't have, if the model's not going to be enough information to make us vote yes.
You mean change our mind?
Change our mind.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying change our mind. I'm saying if it's not enough, if the model we get a model and we look at it.
Change our mind one way or the other.
Yeah, if it won't make any difference, then why make them do that effort?
So I guess in all fairness, I am sort of leaning to it's too tall.
Okay.
I don't know if that's helpful.
I think that's very helpful. I think it's helpful for them to hear what.
I mean, in all fairness, I'm just unbelievably bad at spatial imagery in my own brain, and the model actually would help me decide if it's too tall. But for me, the bigger decision is what's the tipping point for us justifying the height. I mean, so it's more, for me, it's sort of like the model would help me decide, yes, okay, the height's not. Once we sort of execute, I mean, to your point, once we execute the CBD zoning, which is allowing for more height and more density, but I don't know if 34 units, when we could just approve a second floor here and there and spread 35 units over a number of buildings, is it worth?
Well, hopefully we'll do that anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I know, but.
Do you have, no,
just a little banter.
So do we want,
I think we need time to, I mean, I know it's like they're burning through their time, but we don't have John.
We don't have John. Can we get back to them soon, but let them know if they need, I just don't, again, I don't want them to bring a model in 2 weeks from now.
It's expensive.
It's expensive. If it's not helpful, we're wasting their time.
My interest is met because we put them on notice early enough that if it comes up later that we needed the model, we mentioned it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've left it that we voted to request a model, and I think that's where we stand. I think at this point we have to move to continue because it's 10 o'clock and I don't think we're going to do any good work at this point in time. Does anybody feel differently?
I agree with that.
I'm sorry, what were you
I'm just trying to think if there's any more concrete, if there's anything more.
I need to dig into the the memo they gave us, and
Yeah, we got a lot of last minute information.
and
So
decide.
you're going to get back to them.
There's nothing I can get back. Once we voted for a model, they're on notice that we've requested it, but they could come back in 2 weeks and say, we still haven't done it.
How long do you think it would take?
More than 2 weeks.
More than 2 weeks, okay.
Okay. But still, again, I don't want them to start the work on it.
Right.
If we're just going to say no
That's
in the
fair.
end, I don't want them to do it. I don't want you to waste your time or your money.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And we don't have John here, so I don't know where we leave
We
this.
can't predict how the board is going to vote.
So we've got that as a request. You can take it as a request, and we're going to have to need a motion to continue this public hearing for 2 weeks.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, if they decide that they're not ready for us in 2 weeks, then they'll seek a postponement?
We'll just reopen and continue again.
So
Yeah, we've done that. Yeah, I remember. Okay.
we have board and staff updates. It's very, very late. I think that we're going to do town meeting prep before town meeting, the night
Yeah,
of town
I'll
meeting.
do that.
But I just want to make sure that if there's any board and staff updates that we have for tonight.
Not me.
Well,
Should just wait a second.
yeah, that's probably good. Yeah, we'll just wait. If I could politely ask you guys, just take the conversations outside.
Thank you for coming and staying so late, everybody.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Are we going to meet on the first night of town meetings?
Just, can I just politely ask you guys to step outside? Can I just ask you guys all to take it outside, please? We have more business agenda to continue. Thank you. No, we have more business agenda to do.
I'm going to print my headstone now, and it's just going to say 10 Conference Place.
Thank you so much. So we have 4 things on our agenda. I don't think we're going to get the town meeting preparation. Can people? I need a motion from you. I'm going to just jump to town meeting preparation. Can I get a motion from you guys to have me authorized to present on behalf of the board for Article 2 and Article 4 and Article
Second.
34? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So we needed that out of the way.
That was a move by Nick and a second by Carrie.
What's that?
Just clarifying for
Moved
minutes.
by Nick, seconded by Carrie.
Are there board? Do you want to just do the minutes quickly too?
Yeah. I move that we accept all 3 submitted minutes as amended.
I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes are approved. Are there board or staff updates that we need for tonight?
I do want to just, we're here. I'm just going to go over my 2 memos.
Yeah.
The first memo is of the town planner goals, sets as a part of the performance review.
Yep, I read those.
These
They're
were self-directed, but I tried to take from interests and priorities of the planning board. I'll just read them out. So strengthen economic development as a core function of the planning department, advance the review and improvement of the site plan review process, developing a database of historically significant structures. Carrie, can you open the door, please? Reintroduce and update.
Gotta have it open.
Reintroduce and update a downtown master plan. Ian, scroll down, please. Scroll down. And prepare for the procurement and initial work for the next master plan. These will take place over the next year. We'll have a meeting again around my performance review to see how I performed based off of these things. Of course, priorities and things change based off of what's required, but these are my recommendations for what I believe are reasonable goals for the next year.
Any discussion about this?
I'm quite happy
They're
with
good.
it. I think they're very good.
I thought they were great.
Yeah.
Thorough.
They play to your strengths. They play to our interests. Well done.
So,
I agree.
what do you need from us?
Nothing. We'll just move on and we'll talk about it next year.
Okay, excellent. I love that. Save that memo for the next chair next year so they can find it.
Okay.
And
Oh, you're going to be the chair next year.
My second memo, and I do need a vote from you all tonight, is it is a crucial timing. We have professional services budget that needs to be fulfilled by the end of the year, or else we just turn it back. Not that that's a terrible thing, but we're allocated money by town meeting. We should use it for.
Actually, it is a terrible idea because if there's no override, we could actually see a reduction in our
yes.
next year.
So these are my two ideas based off of recent findings and of what was the planning board's top priority for this year. A comprehensive review of site plan review. So that would be hiring a consultant, preferably a land use expert, lawyer, combined with probably a urban planning, urban design team that could come in and review our site plan review. And it would branch out a little bit, of course, right? 6% grade over 500% technically isn't in the site plan review, but it is one of the main reasons something goes into site plan review. So it would be a function of the review. That was, if I remember correctly, that was the number one priority for the planning board. The second is because of more recent activities, a design and zoning study for the Center Business District. CBD guidelines were created 10 years ago. The zoning and the rules and regulations were 10 years ago. It is good practice to review bylaws, especially significant and important ones, every 5 to 10 years. I think that a lot of our 33 Mount Vernon 10 Converse conversation would be easier if we were all on the same page of what the design of downtown should be. That would be hiring a specific urban design consultant to come in, like a Michael Wang, but would give much more visual context to what downtown would be. I think that this is important. This is something that we should do. I don't think that it should be prioritized over the review of site plan review.
So we can only do one.
We can only do one.
Yeah, I vote for the first one.
Yeah, I move to
That's much
fund
more
or
imperative.
encourage or unleash Taylor on
Perhaps
these.
next year we do the other one.
So that we could do the other one, and just to keep in mind, we need to start preparing for the master plan, which really needs to start in '27, and we need to decide if we want to lead up to that master plan by also doing just a review of all of our bylaw.
Yeah.
Site plan review
Which
is
was
more
submitted
important.
in our state of the town.
Yeah,
So
site
if
plan
we override
review
this
is the
funding,
more
we do that.
urgent one. But a recodification of the bylaw might be something that we consider, and that would be that would have to be for a capital funded request.
It might not be capital. It might
It would
be
have to
free
be an
cash.
additional
Yes.
funded request.
Yeah. Sorry. So my thinking on these is I agree with what I just heard, which was that I think the review of site plan review makes more sense.
We
I
promised
think
it anyway.
the second one would be way more fun. Like we would like.
The second one would be fun, and I do think, like, if I look at it, like that one's what gets me excited instead of just legal stuff. But the legal stuff is more important.
Yeah.
And it's more time consuming for you, right? I mean,
No, the
this
design
is-
would be more time consuming.
No, not the process. I mean, the pain in the butt of
Oh, yeah,
having a
sure,
messy
yeah,
site
yeah,
plan review mucks up your
And
gears.
we've told town meeting that we were going to look at site plan review when we did ADUs. We've
Yep.
told them other times.
Yep.
It was one of our highest priorities, if not our highest priority. So I don't see how we cannot
Yeah.
go with that.
And it builds a relationship with a land use specialist.
Theoretically, having that review would theoretically make it easier to get for applicants, in theory? I hope so. I mean,
Well, we would hope that would be the goal.
Yeah.
Of
It's not to
course.
make it worse.
No, I hope not.
It might be overpaying.
Add pages to our bylaw. No, I don't want to do that.
It's not for now, of course, but the tricky thing with any bylaw review is that it has to go through town meeting, and that adds politics to your decisions.
So
but
if we
yes,
can go to
the
town
goal,
meeting, we can say we've simplified
the goal
the process.
is obviously to simplify and clarify.
Yeah, then I think we get town meeting support.
So we've kind of obligated ourselves to one, but number two would be more fun. So
I think that's sort of where we are. We've already committed to one 7 times over, but number 2 would be like.
Well, it'd be more fun until we got the town, I mean, it would be,
Until you have public meetings.
everybody has fun different ways, folks.
So I think what you're looking for is
I need a vote
motion a vote to proceed down this path, even though you'll still come back to us with, or you look,
Correct. I am looking for a motion to authorize me to begin the procurement process on either that you choose, and I will be back in 2 weeks or a month to report back on that process.
I move that we authorize the town planner to pursue procurement for someone to do the comprehensive review of site plan review.
I'll second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for bringing this to us
Thank you.
before our money ran out.
Good stuff.
So we are meeting, is there anything else that we need to talk about? So
Town meeting is at 7 o'clock.
It's at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, got
We
pushed back.
currently have a scheduled meeting, the night of town meeting at high school. It's currently started.
What day is that?
It's
Monday. It opens Monday the 3rd
Monday
of
the 3rd.
November.
We currently have that scheduled for 5:30. I don't think we need that much time, but we will need to. You've got a memo from me of articles that I think could be of discussion. We are not debating them tonight, but I want you guys to come that night ready, and we'll talk about. We'll send you out if we think we don't need that much time. If we don't need to start till 6 or 6:30, we can do that. But it's just.
It's fine.
That's really, we don't need political will, you don't need to go grab the select board, you don't need to, that's kind of
No.
on you for how much time you need, to be
Yeah.
honest. Unless there's any, are there petitions? No, because we still have our meeting on the 4th. We're not.
Still have our
trying to
meetings on the
combine
4th, so we'll
meetings.
just be going over what we're going to do at town meeting.
That's on
as
how
far
much
as that.
time you feel like you need.
And that first night, we're probably only going to get through Article 10, and only one of those first 10, we aren't either co-sponsoring or sponsoring, or is just the capital. So it's going to be capital that night, and there's 5 articles that I think could be of interest, but too late. I'm too tired to even think about them.
No, we got your memo. We'll look at it.
Yeah, and then we'll be prepared that night. So I would welcome that magical motion.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you so much, WinCam.